Hello, people. Welcome to another episode of the Fair One podcast. Um, we're going to kick off with an exciting night of fights. On paper, it's not the most exciting night of fights, let's be honest, but it's always a good night of fights when you get to watch it with your friends. So let's kick off with that and hope for the best. That's all we can hope for. Um, and a lot of the times the fights are good. It's just that they're not big names necessarily on the cards. I am looking forward to, and I'm hoping that I can switch at the end of this to the Romero versus Davis fight if we can. Dear Fearful says, "Wow, what an event! Can't wait. Get the popcorn ready. Seriously, what WTF does Dana think he's doing with these events? This would have been the prelims card for a fight night a couple of years ago." Shaking my head. Well, I think aside from the fact that it's just having the continuity of the fights, is it the Bellator events on at the same time? So normally that like people know who Davis and Romero are, but the UFC propaganda machine, this will still smash Bellator out of the water. I didn't get to see the Byers Jackson fight, Jenga Bengo. Mark Davis says a good night of fights so far. Original Sin says morning coach Fab. Mark Davis says Rodriguez can take a shot, man. Yeah, look, man, I just got this on now, and that's the first thing I saw was him take two to the chin like that flash. Original Sin says looking good with the salt and pepper beard. Yeah, I went for a different look, sir. I went for designer stubble, the distinguished look. So it's really my own look here that I have. So I went with this look today. Rodriguez can take a shot. I have to agree with that because that's the first thing I saw him was just take a few shots to the chin, like smack flush on the chin. Um, I don't know who wins out of Smith and Spann. I'll have to go with Smith in my opinion. Just he's fought the better competition. Um, he's just fought the better competition. He's had more experience against top end guys. So I don't know that Ryan Spann necessarily beats him. I definitely give the advantage on the ground to Smith. That's me. But I'm not. I can't say to you when I'm looking at this. Like there are a few fighters on this card that I like. I like watching fight, but it's not necessarily something that I'm going, wow, this card's really. I'm really pumped for it. I hope to be able to do the Davis and Romero fight after this. Um, Shawnee says, "Hey Fab, how are you, sir? How you doing?" So interesting. Tell me who you guys think wins out of Spann and Smith and why. Um, but I don't know. I don't know that thing. Yon Kutalibo versus Devin Clark. Who you got, man? The problem there is Kutaliba's a bad man in that first round, Um, and it's interesting because Clark has lost both Spann and Anthony Smith, both by submission. I don't necessarily see he's lost to Rakic as well. He's lost to Blakovic, and so has Kutaliba's lost to a bunch of good guys as well. Probably Kutaliba if he can get it done early. I think if he can jump on him early. If he gets to the third, it's all over the place there. I don't know. Maybe Kutaliba if he can jump on him early. Hungarian Hustler says Mrs. taking the little one out for the morning. No co-host today, Fab. She's around, man. She's around. She's with my wife at the moment. We got up very early today, went, checked out the surf, made a smoothie, had some breakfast, and now my wife got up. And so my wife's got her for a little bit, and then we'll see what happens. Roy C says, "What's up, Coach Fab? Greetings, chat. How are you, sir? Thank you for joining us, Roy C." Mark Davis says, "Hope you and the family are doing good, Fab. Peace." Thank you, sir. Likewise, same to you. I hope you guys are doing well as well. I think we should be coming out of the lockdown reasonably soon. So going to be interesting from a bunch of different perspectives. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. So again, Rodriguez takes it right on the chin. I've just caught the end of this fight. I don't want to start necessarily commentating the fight that I've just started watching. It's not really thing. Keenan says Hope to see a strong performance from Smith. Feels like his number one contender status was forever ago. 4 killers, but would like to see him get a couple of consecutive wins. Yeah, he's not unskilled, man. He's a good fighter. He's a very, very good fighter. Um, I don't know what this win necessarily does for him, as it's not like, the UFC is about not just the ranking of who you beat, but like the name value of who you beat. And I don't know that Spann, whilst he is a good fighter, a solid fighter, I don't know that he carries that name value to propel an Anthony Smith back into that real top contender status. Moist Penguin says, I don't remember another card where I didn't care about every single fight on the card, and there is only one fighter on the entire card I'm interested in, Arman, but don't care about his matchup. I can't beat it. Moist Penguin says, beat because it's a joke of a fight. I can't fully disagree with you, Moist Penguin. I can't. I can't disagree with you too much, honestly. The Hungarian hustler says, haha, we were also up early, took the dog for a walk and made banana smoothies for myself and the little gremlin. Great minds think alike. Yeah, man, it's a bunch of fun with the little ones. It is. It's hard work, but it's fun. Jake Cake says, I hope Smith gets knocked out. Why do you hope Smith gets knocked out? Original Sin says, soon lockdown will only be lifted when double jabs reach 70% in New South Wales population. That's right. You are right, my friend. You are right. So, yeah. Rodriguez skirting the outside of the octagon. Chukwi is doing a good job here. He looks like he's going to win the fight, but I haven't seen the fight. I've only caught the last of it. I don't really want to talk about it too much. I just saw Rodriguez taking mad shots to the chin and taking him. Yeah, I'm looking forward very, very much to the Alex Pereira fights and seeing who he gets matched up with. I think if he gets matched up correctly and he's able to find his timing in the cage, because he doesn't have the MMA experience like that an Israel does, or that a Rob does, or one of those better strikers in that division. He's had a few MMA fights, but they're not at that level, So I'm really interested if they can bring him along and he can have, a bunch of fights in that division and see, let him get settled down, let him get his timing right, let him get his confidence up. I'd be really interested to see what he can do in that division, because he is a devastating striker, an absolutely devastating striker. Pip Dennison says, good morning, Hefe. Good morning, all. How are you, Pip? Thank you very much for joining us. Mark Davis says, Rodriguez has been up against the cage 8 minutes at least and took bombs 30-27. Okay, cool. I haven't seen the fight. Like, it just looks like he's getting beat pretty bad. There's 7 seconds to go and he's getting ground and pounded. He may not even survive it. Yeah. So I haven't seen that fight to be able to comment on it. My first official call will begin in minutes, people, in minutes. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they match him up and who they match him up with. That'll be really important for his development, and to see as well where he's at in terms of grappling, in terms of his own takedown defense, in terms of his own jiu-jitsu and whatnot. Because I think he's a purple belt, but not all purple belts are made equally, and it all depends as well, like where the other elements of your game are. Like, obviously in striking, he's like a super duper black belt, but I don't know what his wrestling's like. I don't know what his what his ability is like inside the octagon. Like, big difference when you fight in a ring. It has corners, and that makes a massive difference, in your ability to cut off the cage on people, cut off the ring on people, and use that. Whereas a octagon or any kind of hexagon or any kind of those geometrical shapes, it's very, very different with how you're going to cut the cage off with your opponents, how you're going to use that space, how they're going to move. And then there's, of course, the unpredictability of the strikes in MMA, and let alone the ground game. So that I find it real interesting. I'm really, really keen to see who he gets matched up with and how. Um, Shawnee says, "Did you see the Contender Series this week with the young West Aussie Jack Della Maddalena?" No, I did not. I did not. How did it go? I did not. Yeah, so very, very interesting. I know I've been talking about Alex Pereira for a solid 5 minutes now, or something like that. But I am very interested to see how he does. I'm really, really interested. Um, I do think that division needs some new blood, and I think Alex Pereira makes it very, very exciting. I think he's still relatively untested in MMA. Like, I mean, he's got a loss in submission, but that was a submission loss early on in his career. When he's a fighter, a striker of the caliber that he is, doesn't really his stock, in my opinion, doesn't really plummet. You don't really know. And of course, if you're fighting him early on and you know that the plan is going to be to take him down and submit him, so I don't know. I'd be real interested to see how he does. I'm really, really curious to see how he's going to do. His last fight, I think the guy was like 5-5 or something like that. So it wasn't really, you don't like. I mean, he put on a great display and dropped in with that left hook. Um, I like the dexterity and the way that he sets up his kicks, and he does have dynamite in his hands, man. He really does. That left hook has proper power in it. So it's just a question of how he's going to deal with people that are going to take him down. Absolutely. And how is he going to deal with that? He's going to be able to get back to his feet relatively quickly. Are people going to be able to hold him down and ground and pound him? I'm really interested. Joseph Slater says propaganda propaganda is political. Find the UFC apolitical. They are an openly ruthless fight business. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but um, I don't know what you mean by that. Or I really don't understand the context behind that. I don't get what you're saying. um, but yeah, it's real interesting for me that the thing. What do you guys think about Alex Pereira coming into the UFC? Um, as a kickboxer, he's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Of course he's had um, he's had losses in kickboxing as well, but they fight so much, man. Shawnee says Jack won his fight. He looked great. Okay, awesome. No, that's really good. There's a lot of good kids coming out of Australia, man. There's a lot of good kicks. Lot of good kids coming out of Australia that can fight. So Australia and New Zealand always have good fighters, and I think more and more there's just I was just looking at some stuff the other day, and there's just so many people, man. There's so many people coming up that are good fighters and that have. There's so many good gyms, and there's so many good like there's so many good young grapplers as well that are coming through. That there's so many good places to train. Like Australia and New Zealand have always had good good striking. Always have. We've had world champions in boxing, world champions in kickboxing, but world champions in Muay Thai. But now you're having guys that are just phenomenal on the ground as well. And yeah, we haven't had that, and now you're having kids that are just coming up in that environment. You call the UFC a propaganda machine. The UFC is a propaganda machine. It doesn't have to be negative. It's propaganda is defined, and I'll tell you, information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a political cause or point of view. It's definitely of a biased nature, and it's definitely used to promote a point of view, as is any kind of advertising. You know, so it doesn't have to be a negative thing, but definitely does have. It definitely is a propaganda machine. Um, it definitely promotes itself as the best uh, fight promotion, which it is. But it definitely has massive ability to promote and put that out there for sure. So it doesn't have to be just of a political nature. David Keating says, "Hey Fab, looking forward to the show. Much love from Ireland." Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it, man. I love Ireland, man. I spent quite a bit of time in Ireland. It's a beautiful, beautiful country, man. I've got family in Ireland too. Hey Melon says, long time lurker, first time live watcher. Good late evening from Sweden. Thank you, sir. Hey man, I also spend a lot of time in Sweden. I also have family in Sweden. I'm gonna tell you where my family is in Sweden, and I apologize to all my Nordic Swedish fans for saying this name wrong. Uppsala and Nyköping. That's where they are. Tell me if I pronounced them correctly or not. Mark Davis says, Fab, what got you into MMA combat sports? A short version is possible. Laugh out loud. Bruce Lee for me back when in the days of videos. Yeah, I liked Bruce Lee and that, but my mum put me in Taekwondo when I was like 5 years old. I wasn't a big kid, and it was just me and my sister. So I didn't really have like rough and tumble like kind of experiences with other boys or cousins. We kind of just was me and my sister. My sister's 5 years younger than me. So yeah, that's how I got into martial arts. Because then I ran into my cousins who were like my age, they were boys, they were brothers, and they beat me up a few times. So my mom, no, not bad, just kid stuff, And my mom put me into Taekwondo so I could defend myself. That's how it started. And I've always been involved in martial arts more or less since then. But yeah, started with that. Bryson Bo Wolf says Grange TV is a way better name. Well, brother, you can always be Grange TV to you, my friend. You can always be Grange TV to you. Bryson says the fair one, I literally almost unsubbed by accident. It's okay, but you didn't. You're here now, and that's what counts. Hey Melon says, hey, I understood the places you meant, which is a lot better than most English speakers. So good job. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. My uncle has a place. They've moved now because my uncle's gotten older, but they used to have a place in Nyköping. They used to have a place, and it was like right near the water. There was a body of water, and I stayed there for about 2 weeks, and then I sort of went up to Uppsala where my cousins lived, and yeah, it was pretty amazing place. Like Sweden is one of my favorite places. Ireland's one of my favorite places too. Most places I've gone I've really liked. Not many places I can say, oh, I didn't like them, but they're pretty amazing. And so yeah, I really like it. Mark Davis says, thanks. No, thank you, sir. Thank you for asking. Thank you for taking part in it. Yeah, man. I I I find it hard, like the Swedish language, because it's not like any other language that I can speak. Maybe I don't know. It's got a lot of probably English words that people use, but it's like it's hard. It's different. It's different. But what a place, man! Sweden, absolutely beautiful, like proper beautiful. And I went there in winter because I made a point of going there in winter because I've never really experienced cold, and it's cold. It's cold. It's proper cold. The one thing though that I didn't like about Ireland, I didn't like about like Scandinavia was because I was there in winter was the lack of sunlight. It really did my head in, man. It really did my head in. Daylight saving in Australia bothers me when the sun goes down at like 5 p.m. That it already starts to get to me. I like the sunlight. So in and I know in summer it goes the other way around for you guys, and that would do my head in too. But other than that, man, beautiful place, man. Beautiful place. My cousin at the time, this was probably about 13 years ago or something, he was trying to get me to move to Ireland. But I liked everything except the rain and the lack of sunlight in winter. Other than that, amazing places. Amazing places. I think I don't know. I think I'd like to see Smith get a win. I do think that he is a very good fighter. I just don't know if I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to if he's going to be able to work his way back up to get a title shot again. Like I said to you, I don't know what it means necessarily. Also, who do you guys have today versus Phil Davis versus Romero? I'm really interested in hearing your opinions on that. If he can, like, who will win that fight? I find it interesting. I do hope that I'm going to be able to commentate that one as well. If we can do it. So fights should begin reasonably soon. We'll have a middleweight bout to kick off. Buckley versus Arroyo. So again, I don't know who wins that fight. And I do agree with Moist Penguin. I'd like to see Arman fight, but I don't know that Christos is the guy that's going to do it. I don't know if Christos is going to be the guy that's going to beat him. Bryson Bo Wolf says, Fab, any thoughts on this Jack Della guy? Was he on your radar before UFC? I think he was, because I think he's got a brother, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just look him up so I'll make sure that I'm talking about the right guy, not talking out of school. I just want to make sure I'm talking about the same guy. Yes, he is, because, and I'll tell you why. I'm sure he has a brother. If it's who I think it is. Yeah, the Della brothers. Let me look it up so I'm making sure that I've got the right guys. Because another guy that I trained who's actually signed with the UFC fought one of them. Izzy Fitikefu. He fought his brother, I'm pretty sure. If not, he fought someone with a very, very similar name. And so yeah, that's I do have thing, and I think they're very good. I don't know if he's gonna run into, like, when Izzy fought his brother. I'm pretty sure it was his brother that he fought. Izzy was able to take him down and ground and pound him, but Izzy's like a little tank. He's like kind of more or less built like Darren Wynn. He's going to do a lot of good in the UFC. Fitikefu, when he gets to debut. I'm not exactly sure when that will be, but yeah, they were on my radar. But I'm not that familiar with him. I watched his brother fight more than I watched him. I'm just trying to look it up so that I'm telling you the right information. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, so Josh Della, that's his brother. Yeah. So Izzy fought his brother, and I remember. So I've seen his brother more than I've seen him. I've seen his brother more than I've seen him, and I think, with all due respect to his brother, I think this guy that won in the Contender Series is better than better fighter than his brother. Izzy fought his brother and won. So yeah, they were on my name. The name was on my radar for sure. But I don't know a lot about him. I knew about his brother, and I think that what I was going to say was, if it was his brother, he was going to run into problems against wrestlers and that. But yeah. Um, Mark Davis says Phil Davis at 205s. I give him the advantage, but Romero is unpredictable as they come. Is there drug testing? I think the drug testing would be similar to the drug testing in the UFC. Phil, not the problem, but one of the things that I find interesting is Phil Davis is not really a striker. He's not really he's not like a natural striker. He doesn't flow with his striking. As much as he'll work on it, he's just not a natural striker. But he's a brilliant grappler. I wonder if he's going to be able to out-grapple Romero. And the thing here with Romero, what's interesting is the same kind, similar with what happened with Chris Weidman. I don't know what shape Romero is going to be in. This is the truth of the matter. But Romero's never really been. If you watch his wrestling matches, he was never like a guy that had to force takedowns. He always liked to lure people into to to take him down, and then out scramble, throw. That's more his game. So if Phil Davis is kind of forced to try and out wrestle Romero, it's going to be interesting because and this I'm going from when he lost to Rumble Johnson, for instance, he couldn't get him down and he didn't want to stand with him. And I think Romero is better at stand up than Phil is. So that should be an interesting fight. David Keating says, Fab, what kind of condition do you think Diaz is going to be for the Lawler fight after all the time off and maybe partying? I don't know, man. I don't know because I don't know him, so it's always going to be an enigma. And I'll just be guessing, I really don't know. I'm going to assume that whilst he may have been partying to some extent, I don't know that just being around his brother and all of that and always training, just the mindset that they have, like, I don't know how out of shape he would get compared to like normal people. He's someone that, from my understanding, has always enjoyed doing the triathlons and the ultra endurance kind of triathlon stuff. So I don't necessarily see someone like that that's around his brother, and that always, I think, in the back of his mind knows that at some point there'll be a big payday for him if he wants to come back. Like, he's got a massive amount of pull, as does his brother. So I don't know that they would have necessarily just let it all go, like the fighting, you know what I mean? Like that he would have just stayed completely out of shape. I don't think so. I know that he wouldn't have been fighting fit, but then at the same time, honestly, with Diaz, he's had so many fights as a young man, and he took so much damage that the break might have done him some good, as well. Yeah, I think that I think he'll be all right. I think he's going to be in pretty good shape. I don't think he's weathered the damage. I think he's got the fight experience. Um, he's also got a good opponent, like for the dance card, as far as like Robbie Lawler. I think he knows what kind. They're different fighters, but they fought before, and Lawler's also a bit older as well, So it's not like he's fighting some young 22-year-old dude that's up and coming and he's got nothing but KOs. That's not the fight, So I think it's good. Hey Melon says, I can imagine it's a hard language. Sweden is nice, but Norway has some incredible countryside and mountains. Thanks for sharing your Swedish connection. Thank you, sir. Bryson says, oh, damn, there's two of them. Brothers make good training partners, man. Yeah, they do, man. They do. I don't have any brothers, but I always thought I wish I did for that reason, for that exact reason. Keenan says, what do you make of some fighters calling for the oblique kick ban? Fighter opinions matters a lot to me, but it does feel weird that I can kick you in the head with my shin, but not the knee. I don't know. I don't know necessarily. Like I said, I'm not like, I think the fighters, it does matter, the opinion, but at the same time, like, it is like it is very damaging. It is potentially very, very damaging to just stomp someone's knee in like that. Having said that, like, it's there, you can prepare for it. You know what I mean? I don't know. It does do damage though. Fucking it does. It's very, very dangerous technique. It's a very, very dangerous kick. Sasank says, greetings from Toronto, Fab. Greetings to you, sir. John Con Drum says, good to see you, Fabs. Good to see you, my friend. And anyone that gets a chance, please go onto his podcast, man. He's got a brilliant podcast. So anyone that gets a chance to watch it, please do so, people. My internet is again stopping, and it's not playing the fights. Hassan Ahmed says, what's up, Fab? How you doing, brother? I'm good, my friend. How are you? Hey, Mellon says, who you got, Buckley or Arroyo? I don't know. Probably Buckley. I don't know. Probably Buckley, going to my head. Ren Mitchell says, it will be interesting to see if Diaz has his timing still. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Andre Benicio Giles says, greetings, Mr. Fab. Do you have any advice to get back in great shape? Because I haven't been to the gym in many years. I would kick off with doing stuff that I like. You know what I mean? Not necessarily trying to, and again, this point might sound like, just start doing stuff that you like and not putting too much pressure on yourself. So we're off, people. We're off. I've missed most of the first round of this Buckley versus Arroyo fight. Just simply my internet was not working, but now we're good to go. Arroyo's a big boy, isn't he? I haven't seen enough of these guys to be able to tell you who I think will win. But I do remember now having seen Arroyo fight, and I don't remember if I was impressed or disappointed, to be honest. I've seen so many fights. Um, so Arroyo's in the orthodox stance, kick goes to the oblique kick. Buckley's in the southpaw stance. Arroyo's feinting, looking for that right hand. His hands are low. He looks quite comfortable in there. Yeah, I've seen this guy fight. He's actually very good. I've seen him fight before. I had him mixed up with someone else. I don't mind saying. He's got good feints. He goes looking for a flying knee, does Arroyo. Arroyo skirting the peripheries of the octagon. Buckley trying to cut the cage and hit him with an inside kick, and he does have some success with it. Arroyo looks very, very comfortable. He's enjoying quite a. It looks like to have also not just a height advantage, but a size advantage as well. Looking really good. 38 seconds to go in this first round. Oh, with a high kick from Buckley, but he slips and falls to the ground, gets back to his feet. Arroyo did not capitalize on him being on the ground. Buckley went looking for that left high kick. Arroyo with a right kick to the head. 13 seconds to go in this first round. Arroyo skirting the outsides of the octagon. Buckley goes looking for a double leg. He blasts that double. He's going to get this done. No, good takedown defense by Arroyo. Arroyo was able to get the whizzer and post on his hand. Great work there by both guys from what I was able to see. Okay. Antônio Arroyo. He's a big boy. He's got a couple of losses though coming into it as well. Darren Wynn was able to out wrestle him big time, but Darren Wynn's a hell of a wrestler, man. A really, really good wrestler. Yeah. So sorry, Andre. I think just doing stuff that you like, you know what I mean? Like kick off with just doing stuff that you like and creating a habit, I think is very important. Because once you create that habit of getting like you're doing whatever it is that you like let's say you like going for a jog, for instance, in the morning, you do that 3 times a week, but you don't have to do it hard. You just have to do like 5 to 10 minutes to kick off, but create the habit. As soon as you create the habit and you've been doing it for a couple of weeks, you're able to really capitalize on it. We're off, people. Arroyo still he's bouncing. He looks light on his feet. Does Arroyo set does Buckley. Doubles up on the jab, does Buckley. Inside low kick by Arroyo. Arroyo looking comfortable, has his hands down. He's bouncing in and out. Buckley again with another inside kick. Buckley goes looking for the oblique kick. Arroyo lifts his legs, and then Buckley throws a combination. Nothing lands though. Arroyo with his hands down, bouncing, feeling very comfortable. Still, Buckley's still holding the center, and Arroyo's still kind of skirting the peripheries of the octagon. Oh, nice little. So he throws a standing orthodox to southpaw is Arroyo, and Arroyo threw a little calf kick with the lead hand and then followed that up with the right hand. But since then, Buckley has landed some nice leg kicks. Nice right kick to the body by Arroyo, taken on the arms of Buckley. But man, if you hit shit on forearm, there's only so many you can take. 3 minutes and 42 seconds to go in this second round. Nice inside kick by Buckley. Buckley's landing some nice inside kicks. Buckley again tries to get outside of that lead foot and lead hand of Arroyo and throw that check hook over the top. He's having some success with getting that distance, but not landing the shot, if you know what I mean. So he gets it with the speed. He's able to do it and cut that angle, but he's not really able to land the shot. Just the height difference is a little much. He's definitely the faster of the two. Arroyo has the right idea of what he's going to do, but it's a little bit telegraphed. You know, he kind of loads up a little bit on what he's going to do, and Buckley's able to see it and get out of the way just in time. Having said that, Buckley's landing shot after shot on the inside of that leg of Arroyo. Now Buckley goes looking for a single leg. And the thing is, man, when you land in that inside low kick, if you know it's dangerous to throw it, of course, like any leg kick. But when you throw and you're having that success and it's landing on that vastus medialis muscle, that teardrop muscle, it's not a big muscle, and that's a muscle that extends the leg. You don't have to land hard. You know, if you're able to start landing it, it really starts to compromise the leg. The inside of the leg, the skin is a lot softer, doesn't see as much sun. See, Arroyo has already switched. He's gone to southpaw now. You can't take too many of those shots. You just can't on the inside on that vastus medialis muscle. So they're both going to southpaw. And this is where it becomes a problem, man. Unless Arroyo is a switch hitter, which he doesn't look to be, it's going to become a problem because Buckley's going to be better at fighting southpaw to southpaw than Arroyo is. Arroyo's gone straight back to orthodox. Be good to see Buckley continue to chop that leg down because Arroyo's walking funny on it now a little bit. And the welts that he has on that vastus medialis muscle is huge, man. There he checked it. He checked Buckley's kick there. Oh, he hit Buckley with a flying knee as Buckley came in, but Buckley took it. He did connect with it though. It was it was it was a pretty well timed knee. Wow. Now Buckley's doing a good job. He's got the double underhooks, trying to hold Arroyo up against the cage, and he's doing a good job of doing that. Arroyo has a whizzer on him, and he gets out. I want to see if Buckley can set it up. He can't. He shouldn't throw these kicks naked, but if he can, ooh, nice little front kick by Arroyo. If he can set up a couple of good low kicks by using his hands, I don't know how many more shots like that he's going to take Arroyo. So that's the round. Let me see. Sorry, I might have missed a few people, guys. I'm just trying to catch up. Mark Davis says if you ban oblique kicks, then it's heel hooks. Then before you know it, you can't attack the knee in any way. Yeah, I do see your point of view on that, Mark. The only thing is, I think the argument there is with a heel hook, you have a lot of the times you have enough time to tap, whereas the blunt force trauma of an oblique kick is what people are probably complaining about. But I find it a bit weird because I mean, like people said, man, you can smash people's heads with your hands, elbows, and knees and shins. So I don't know. John Condrum says I can't be the only guy that gets nervous when a fighter throws a naked low kick these days. Set them up, lads. I agree with that. Chink Lover says Deron is a midget in that division too. He is, but he's a brilliant wrestler. Hey Melon says, how can Australia be 10 seconds ahead of me on the stream? I'm going to put it down to the Coriolis effect. That's what I think. I'm joking, by the way, before people get. Matt Joe says Buckley looks awkward in his southpaw stance. Looks like he doesn't usually fight southpaw. he's doing better than Arroyo, and the way that he's landing that low kick on Arroyo. Although I'd like to see him set it up, like he's just kicking that naked, and that's no good. Although he has had success with it too, but I don't like the way that he's throwing that. I agree with John Con there. Um, Ren Witchell says, "Fab, great shirt, my friend. Thank you, sir." Buckley goes looking for a double leg, great sprawl by Arroyo. Arroyo is looking to take the back, and he manages to do that. He puts both hooks in. He's got good wrist control at this stage. He could fall into an no. He did Buckley. I thought he might be able to land into a triangle or into an armbar from that position when he goes over the top of the head, but it was not going to happen. Mark Davis says, for everyone in the chat, hope you're all doing good. Peace. Likewise, sir. Thank you. Matt Joe says, like his hips are square. Ren Witchell says, nice one, Mark. I just don't like that he's throwing that kick a lot of the times with no setup. Oh, he hits him twice. Roy when looking for a little check hook, which he did have some success with, but Buckley just came right over the top. Buckley's got the body lock. He's looking to get his hips underneath and his leg behind Arroyo. It's hard for him to hold Arroyo being so much bigger and taller. It's hard for him to hold him up against the cage like that. 3 minutes to go. Throws a little leg kick then, does Buckley, and Arroyo goes looking for the knee as Buckley comes in. Oh, little right hand to the body from Arroyo. Nice little jab by Buckley. Buckley's pretty quick, but I think he's going to struggle with the bigger guys in this division. Oh, he drops Arroyo hard, lands the ground and pound. Arroyo is out, ladies and gentlemen. What a knockout by Buckley. Wow. Knocks him out, like stiffens him up. Wow. I think Buckley's going to struggle a little bit, though, in this division. He's got power, man. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's going to struggle a little bit in the division with some of these bigger guys. Yeah, I think, anyways. Right hand kind of clubs. So the right hand, this is an interesting thing. The right hand kind of clubbed him in the back of the head, and then he hit him with a nice like left hand. But yeah, I think he is going to struggle a fair bit with those bigger guys in the division. I'll be back in a second, people. Hey Melon says he's got power, looks small, and has some distance issues. Maybe I don't know striking. Um, he's not a terrible striker or anything like that, but like there are guys that move very fluidly in that division, and I think he's going to struggle a little bit with that, But he's definitely got power, But I think he's going to struggle with some of the better guys in the division. Um, he took a shot. Hey, that lump on his head, far out. Yeah, that. Oh my god, man! Look at the mouse he's got on his head. I think that must have been from the flying knee, that he threw earlier. But yeah, look, he does look promising, but I do think he's going to struggle with some of those bigger guys. Interesting fight. It was. I like that fight. It wasn't a bad fight. It wasn't a bad fight. A lot of the times these cards are still good. The cards are the card itself might not have a great name, but the fights are still pretty good. So it was a fun fight to watch. And the bantamweight's also interesting because the bantamweight division was kind of like asleep for a while, and then now it's become a really, really interesting division. It's a really, really good one to watch. I think there's a lot of guys that, and it just kind of happened like in that bantamweight division. There's a lot of guys that can hit real hard, like they whack real hard. They can really punch, which is it's rare, at bantamweight at the lighter weights that you get. So that's pretty exciting. But again, I'm not going to lie to you and try and sell the card. I don't work for the UFC. The UFC doesn't pay me enough at all, which is zero. So like I can't say to you, hey man, this is unbelievable card. No, it's not. Randy says, hey coach, long time no see. Hope you and the fam have been well. We are, my friend. Thank you very, very much. My wife is entertaining my maniac daughter in the other room. So yeah, nah, we're good, man. We are very, very good. I hope you are well, my friend. So yes, Hispanic Heritage Month. One voice, many stories. Nice. I'm yeah. Also next week, man. Alex and Brian are fighting Volkanovski versus Ortega. So that's an interesting one. I don't see Ortega beating Alex. To be honest with you, I think he's going to have Ortega's one of those dudes that's got great jiu-jitsu, but his wrestling's not really there. He doesn't really show like really great wrestling. You know what I mean? So it's going to be very hard. I don't see him outstriking Volkanovski at all. Randy says, I have a question for you. Who do you think is the best basketball player of all time between Jordan, LeBron? I'm assuming you mean LeBron and Kobe. Wow. I think I don't know. Like I'm very biased. It's hard to compare people outside of the era because I grew up watching Jordan and I grew up in the Michael Jordan era. But so I'm always going to say Jordan because I saw the whole thing and Kobe as well. But obviously, I think that the way that like Jordan has made it so that the way that you judge a basketball player is that style of basketball player, which was he and Kobe. Kobe and Jordan are similar in that they were one-on-one kind of players. Quick first step, great jump shot, ability to drive to the hoop, dunk, etc., etc. Whereas LeBron is a different player. Like if you measure him by that metric, you can't compare. The other two are much better, but he's more like of a Magic Johnson type player. You know what I mean? Like where he and he's Magic Johnson with a at a different physical build to Magic Johnson. Um, like same stature, but just built different. So his vision, his ability to pass, his size, he can shoot from anywhere. Yeah, it's different. They're different kinds of players. That's honest, my honest opinion. Like if I had to pick just one guy, it's Jordan. But I don't think that you can use the same metric because Jordan became that was a standard by which more or less you measured how how you'd say the best player is, after Jordan. But then outside of your era, see, I didn't get to see Will Chamberlain play. You know what I mean? I didn't get to see any of those guys play. So that makes a big difference, a big difference. So I didn't grow up in that era watching them, so I have no idea. Or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for instance, like um, I again before my time. But you asked me out of those three, I don't know if they are even really one of the best of all. I don't. They are definitely one of the best, but I don't know that they are. Like I don't know that necessarily better than, like I said, Kareem or someone like that. Um, Matt Joe says, next fight, karate style Buckley bouncing in and out with a great jab. If he does that, he's quick enough to do it. This Tony Gravely guy is a good grappler, man. I really like watching him fight. I like watching the grapplers, man. Randy says LeBron. Okay. Nicholas Bright says Volk's had COVID though. Hope he's not suffering any long term effects. True, true, and he got it pretty bad too. Hey Mellon says agreed, but hoping for a good fight at least with a decent game plan from Ortega. Yeah, look, I honestly, and this I'm not taking anything away from Ortega, but styles make matchups. I don't know what game plan Ortega can really have with both of their skill sets, how they are. I don't really see. I don't really see what game plan he has that's going to nullify Volkanovski, unless Volkanovski makes big mistakes or something, rushes in, tries to double leg him or something. But for that to happen, Ortega would have to beat him in the striking, and I don't see Ortega beating him in the striking. I'll be really interested to see if Ortega has improved his wrestling, and if he has, then he can push Alex up against the cage. But Alex is man, he is like a fire hydrant, and he's so strong. I don't know. Nicholas Bright says Anthony Smith dresses like he teaches high school history classes. He does, doesn't he? Ren Witchell says, Fab, do you reckon Conor McGregor would do better with a different camp, or do you think he should retire? I mean, that's a binary question, and out of those two answers, I don't necessarily think he should retire, and nor do I think he should change camps. Because I don't think a lot of that stuff is his camp's fault. Like I think he may have to change some things. I definitely think he may have to change some things. I don't necessarily think that him changing camps would precipitate those changes, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know. So no, I don't think he should change camps necessarily, but I think he has to change some things. Like GSP said though, sometimes you change camps. It might not necessarily be what you had to do, but it's what you believe you had to do, and then you start making the changes you could have made when you were with that other team, anyways. So yeah, it's like raising a child or whatever. Like if my daughters when they're 15, 16, I might tell them do this, do that, do whatever, and they won't listen to me. But then their coach will tell them the exact same things that I told them, and they'll do what their coach said. And it's kind of like that as well. Sometimes you've been with people for just that long that it's there's a lot of water under the bridge, and the lines of communications now start to get a bit faded. So maybe, but no, I think he has to change some things. I don't necessarily think it's his team. Kane says, "Who wins, Poirier or Islam?" The thing that I haven't seen with Islam, I haven't seen him in a fight where I didn't think he was going to win. You know what I mean? Poirier would be the first one where I'd really think, well, I I, I don't know if he's going to beat this guy. Like so, right now, I'd say Poirier because like I said, I haven't seen Islam fight someone that I really thought, no, he's not. He's gonna, he's not going to beat this guy. I've always thought he was going to beat him. So I haven't really seen him go through that level of adversity. Whereas Poirier, I have, and I've seen him come out on top. Um, Bryson says, I favor Volk, but I think that Ortega's good enough to create chaos and find a chin neck. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Matt Joe says, do you think Till will improve his style to hang in the top 5, or do you see him falling off? I don't know what he will do. He's definitely got the potential to do it. I think there's a lot of changes that Till has to make as well. Whether or not he'll make them, I don't know. He's definitely got the potential to be the best. I don't know that he will be, though, because there are changes that he has to make, and I don't think I don't know that he'll make them. And that's not necessarily he has to fight. He has to find a different team, because a lot of the changes come within you. You know what I mean? It's not about you going and finding a different guy and blah, blah, blah. Let's go. We're off, people. I'll get to that in a second, because that's pretty interesting. So we got Gravely versus Mains. I favor Gravely in this. I really like his grappling, man. I really like his ability to get in there and grapple. So I'm gonna call him Nate and Tony, because they're having problems. Oh no, I won't. Gravely threw a big right hand, pushes Mains up against the cage. Big knees, nice dirty boxing in the clinch there. Big knee up the middle by Gravely. I want to see Gravely grapple, because I really like the way that he does it. I'm really, really impressed by him. And his dad was a Taekwondo instructor too, from thing, but he wrestled all the way through primary school and into college. Really, really like that. Co's looking for a double leg, but great defense by Mains. Through that right hand did Gravely. Oh, nice. Mains landing some nice jabs. This looks good. I like this fight already. I do like this fight. Both guys exchanging. Mains looks really nice and sharp with his striking. He's got a nice little jab. He switches to southpaw, and we're going southpaw to orthodox with Gravely in the orthodox stance. And now Mains switches back to orthodox as well. Nice little inside leg kick by Gravely. Mains' takedown defense looked really, really nice. Had the nice double underhooks. And that's when you get long rangey guys like a Gravely, and he knows how to strike, and he understands good takedown defense and wrestling, it becomes real difficult. It becomes a difficult fight. Oh! Gravely hits him with a nice left hook, but Maness just shook it off. Now Gravely's in close, gets the takedown, rides him down to the ground. Gravely's got the underhook, though. He does have the underhook. He's in half guard. He's going to find his feet. Front headlock from Gravely. Mains is showing off a lot of strength, and he's not capitulating this takedown, although Gravely's keeping the front headlock on. I love this fight. This is a good fight, man. Nice front headlock. He uses his leg to lock that arm back in. Now Gravely goes looking for a takedown of his own, and he gets it. He gets a double leg from the front headlock. Now we're going to get a chance to see what Gravely's like off his back. Mains wasn't able to keep him down there. Gravely was able to get back to his feet. That was a nice exchange. I'm really enjoying this fight, because these boys are both evenly matched. They're both landing good shots on each other. Oh, lands again. A big right hand does Gravely on Mains. Then he goes looking for this body lock takedown again that he does. He does this really, really well. He's going to get his left hip in nice and deep, and then he's going to ride him over him. A nice little foot stomp by Gravely on the feet of Mains. For those of you that have never experienced a foot stomp, they hurt. They're not fun. They're not fun at all. Good, man. Really, really, really good fight. I'm enjoying this fight a lot. He's got a nice deep underhook, does Gravely. But the thing is with Mains can wrestle too, man. Mains can obviously wrestle, and he can not just, I've got good takedown defense. No, he can wrestle, this guy. Throws good knee up the middle, does Mains. He's got nice tidy boxing, but Gravely's able to get up inside the striking of Gravely. And then Gravely goes looking for a double leg again. but Maines defends it, gets back up to his feet. He's got that deep underhook. Gravely goes looking for that takedown that he likes to do, where he throws him over his leg. Inside knee by Gravely. Then he throws a combination against the cage. 30 seconds to go. Nice inside kick by Gravely. Now Maines is in the southpaw stance. He's trying to time as Gravely comes in, and he does a good job of doing this. He does a good job of doing it, but he just doesn't have the real power behind it or the precision in landing these shots on the chin, as Gravely's able to just come in and throw those shots. Oh, shit! He drops him. There's 2 seconds to go. He dropped him right on the buzzer. He has knocked him out. Has he? Or was that the bell? No, that was the bell. Dude, this guy's in La La Land. Maines is in La La Land. He's not doing well. He dropped him good. If there was like a little bit more time to go, it would have been over. Maines does not know where he is, dude. Maines does not know where he is. He took a huge shot. 2 seconds to go. My God. Wow. Oh, my God. He was out. He was out. Nice right. It was like a right hook lead from the southpaw stance from Gravely, and he lands shot after shot thereafter. There was only 2 seconds to go in the round. I thought that the ref called it, actually, to be honest with you, because he crumbled him when he dropped him, but the buzzer went. If there was like 2 more seconds in that round, it would have been over, because he crumbled. He kind of went stiff as well. Lucky it was only 2 seconds to go. I don't know if that minute is going to be enough time for him to actually recover from it. And I do believe Gravely's going to jump on him, I don't think he should jump on him. I think he should just try and land the jab. Just try and land the jab. He landed. I don't know if Gravely realizes exactly how good he landed that shot on Maines, like that he was basically out. I know he knows he landed a big shot. Now he's jumping on him. There he is. He's jumping on him straight away. He knows he hurt him in that first round. Nice elbow over the top from Gravely. Maines at this point of the fight looks like he's in a bit of trouble. I don't think he's got his legs under him yet, and I don't think he's cleared his head properly. Very, very tough man is Maines. Gravely is good, man. Another bantamweight that can wrestle with power in his hands, man. You got to love it. You got to love this division now. And that's what happens, man. You see, like, at middleweight, I don't see anyone really challenging Rob or Israel. And then out of nowhere, you'll get like a bunch of guys that will just come out of nowhere. Wow. This exchange here from Gravely and Maines. Gravely just can't get too overzealous with his attacks. I do believe he's winning this fight. Of course he is winning this fight from after dropping him like that in the first round. I just don't know how shook Maines is. Maines was able to defend that takedown with a lovely sprawl and get back to his feet. He's pouring at the jab and landing, keeping Maines at the end of his jab. But Maines has got so much power there when he throws those shots. Maines is still looking a little bit like Bambi on roller skates at times, I don't know. Yeah. His legs aren't with him, they're not really with him whenever Gravely lands any kind of shots. Nice rip to the body by he drops Gravely. Gravely's in all sorts of trouble. Maines is landing some ground and pound and he finishes the fucking fight. Far out. What a fight. What a fight between those two guys. My God, man. They're both these guys were fantastic. Fantastic. Both guys. Gravely did not deserve to lose, and neither did Maines, to be honest with you. Wow. And that's what I was saying earlier in the round. He had such tidy stand-up, did Maines, and at the start. And then in the second round, he still looked a little bit off, but he was able to land that shot. Boom. He'd been looking for these shots at the end of his punch the whole fight, just to keep Gravely at the end of his punches. But man, he caught him so good with this little kind of shovel uppercut, kind of hook punch. Um, the Gravely was out on his way down, man. He was out on his way down. I feel for these guys because that was a hell of a fight, man. That was a hell of a fight. That was a great fight. Um, so Sank says, Fab, did you hear about the Mighty Mouse versus Rod Tang in an MMA Muay Thai mixed fight? Yes, I did. I did. It'd be interesting, but I don't really like the mixed rules fights and that. Me personally, I don't. It's not really what I'm into. Hassan Ahmed says Joe Lewis was so good, man. Yes, he was, sir. Yes, he was. That's I think that that thing about fighters, boxers outside of their eras, or athletes outside of their eras. I think that's an interesting question they asked about the basketball players because like people don't even know who Joe Lewis was. You know what I mean? Compared to people, and then like you look at a Tyson Fury, I don't really see many fucking boxers ever beating Tyson Fury. Like outside of this era, like I just don't. Um, Going back to the Till question you're asking, like I honestly think like the coaching thing a lot of the times is just like is relationship, like any other relationship. So a lot of the times like you might do what you're doing, what you're meant to do in that relationship with that person, for whatever the reason, and in the next relationship, you don't admit, oh, the other person was right the whole time. You just do, you don't leave a mess in the kitchen anymore, because that in the other relationship it cost you that, but you never fixed it in that relationship. So sometimes it is good to change. Sometimes it is good to change, but the reality is it's not the new coaches or whatever that's better. It's not the new person that's better. It's that you actually are a better person because you're making that change. So I think Till is at that point in his life where there are some things he needs to change. I don't want to talk out of school because I don't really know him as a coach and as a teacher and as someone that's worked with that. And I work with athlete mentoring. I do a lot of work with athlete mentoring. I can see clearly what he needs to do, but it isn't really my place to speak about it here where I don't really know him. Um, I'm going to skip a few people. Sorry, guys. Matt Joe says, how can we give them both a win? I want to give them both a win, man. I want to. Um, no, a lot of the times, Al Kayumi, a lot of the times, these cards are good fights. You know what I mean? But they just don't have the name value. But they'll still outrate Bellator now, who's got more name value fighters, I believe. In the main event with Phil Davis and Romero, but it'll, it'll probably get 10 times the viewers. That's for sure. Kane says, "Who wins, Coach Fab or Francis Ngannou?" Just kidding. We know Fab has his number. Yeah, if you've seen my skinny legs, mate, if you've seen my skinny legs, I'll just leg kick him into Bolivian. What a finish, man. What a fight. Not just a finish, John Con drums, but what a fucking fight, man. What a fight. Um, Loved it. Loved it. That was such a good fight. Yeah, that's Jack Della Maddalena now fighting. Yeah, I saw I yeah, it was definitely his brother that Izzy fought. And he did a really, really good job, Izzy, with his brother. I do think they're going to run into a little bit of problem with some of those bigger wrestlers, but good fighter, man. Always going to cheer for him, of course. Matt Joe says Mainz legit almost had that win bonus. Must feel terrible. Alka Yumi says that's true. UFC's marketing is much better. Yeah, it's fucking not even close, dude. You know what I mean? It's the by far. I'll be back in a second, guys. Manuel Beltran says, my heart broke when I didn't see Grange on my subs. Oh, no, man, we changed the name, man. We changed the name. We are back. We're here. Manuel Beltran says, your insight is next level, mate. Man, thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate it. It's very, very flattering. I really appreciate that, man. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. No, I appreciate it, man. I really, really do. This should be an interesting fight. I'm going to check to see how far along the Bellator card is, because I hope to be able to switch back at the end, you know? Let's see. Oh, we might be able to do it, people. We may be able to do it because it looks like the UFC is ahead of the Bellator guys. So we may be able to catch the Bellator card straight after this one. So that should be interesting. I'm hoping for it anyways. John Condrum says, oh, Bellator main card starts at 12. Oh, fuck, man. For me, it says here it starts at 9. So if it starts at 12, where are you? Where are you based, John Condrums? Where do you live? Because for me, it said it started at 9, but it must be the okay, cool. So then, okay, I'm gonna put. All right. Well, then I should be able to catch it then. All right, hold on. I'm just gonna work this out so that I can do the Bellator card afterwards. John Condrum says Sydney. Okay, cool. All right, mad then. The Alcar says Heisenberg from New South Wales. What's up? Stoked for Smith versus Spanning and Romero versus Davis tonight. Yes, sir. Have to agree with you. Matt Joe says, can't wait to see you all. I just hope I don't feel sad afterwards. Watching some of my longtime heroes fight after 40 gives me anxiety. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes. That's all I can say. I may have to eat some fried rice, people, while I'm doing my podcast because I think I'm going to be on here for quite a marathon session. So I apologize. Don't complain, please, about me eating during it because I can't last 6 hours or whatever I'm going to do without eating. Bryson says, this is really dope, giving people access to you like this, Fab. Thanks, by the way. Fuck, man. Thank you, guys. I really, really appreciate you watching, man. So I really, really like that. I like that you guys enjoy it, and please watch it and enjoy it. And thank you very much. Bryson says, only if you got enough for the rest of the class. Man, we have a lot. My wife's actually a very good cook, so I can't complain about any part of that. But I like to share food. I share it with my neighbors and that a fair bit. And I take all the credit for my wife's cooking. It's funny because I act like I have something to do with it, but I actually don't have anything to do with it. It's just my wife that can cook. I can eat, man. Believe me, I can put some food away. But yeah, it's got. I am not. My wife's the one that can cook. Mark Davis says, "Keep the calories up. We need you awake." Thank you, sir. Nicholas Bright says, live stream yourself eating and tag it ASMR. You might get more viewers. What's ASMR mean? I don't know what that means. Mixed Partial Fart says, what's up, Greg? How are you, my friend? Hope all is well. I hope Greg's doing good. Ben C says, Fabs, what do you think about the Condit retirement? I wasn't around for his early career, but he seems he was a savage. He was a fucking savage, man. He was a savage. He was always kind of going to have problems with the people that could out wrestle him because he didn't have the best wrestling. He kind of just relied on a switch and some really good jiu-jitsu off his back, but it was hard. He won the interim belt. And then against guys that could really box or really strike and had power, he also kind of struggled a little bit with that. But he was an absolute savage, really, really good fighter. I have a can eat on my resume also. yeah, that's what I should have. Hey Melon says, just stand by the grill and finish the meat, mate, and take all the credit. It's not even food like that. My wife's like Chinese Russian, so and her mum's a real good cook, and so she cooks the same kind of dishes that I have fucking no chance of cooking. Even the fried rice, I have no chance of cooking the way my wife cooks a fried rice. I have a go at it, I can cook a fried rice, but not the way that she does. Yeah. Matt Joe says, why does food have to have calories? I know, eh? Mixed Partial Fart says, what's up, Fab? What's up, mate? Mixed Partial Fart says, I don't know what auto corrected to Greg. I think it's racist. That's the only thing I can come up with. William Newen says, how do you think Rob would have went against DC? Against Cormier? At light heavyweight? I think that would be a tough fight for Rob. A real tough night out for Rob. Because DC's got a chin and he can hit. And at light heavyweight, he's quick, as well. Like, he's pretty quick. And he's a guy like that's got really, really good wrestling. He's got really good offensive wrestling. The way that he wrestles different to Romero, although he's a higher level wrestler. Although Romero has achieved higher results in wrestling, and I would say he would beat DC in a wrestling match. But in MMA, DC's offensive wrestling is very good. I don't know that would be a tough fight at light heavyweight. I'd have to favor DC to some extent because he's the bigger guy coming down to some extent, and he had really good results. But the dexterity of Rob's kicks and Rob's speed and his size and strength and takedown defense would make it really difficult. That would have been a really good fight to watch. That would have been a really, really interesting fight. I don't know. I don't know that he would have wrestle fucked Rob because no one has. You know what I mean? No one has out grappled Rob, and I think he could try. I mean, he could have made if he could get Rob down. If he could get Rob down and hold him down, and it depends also if it was 5 rounds. I think it makes it very hard for DC like that to do that for 5 rounds. Back then, like how I know them both, you know what I mean? In a 3-round fight, I would have favored DC, because it's easier to grapple fuck someone for 2 rounds and win it like that, win 2 out of the 3 rounds. Much harder for you to grapple fuck someone for 5 rounds, much harder. Hey Melon says DC cutting to middleweight would be more of a fair fight. DC's not making middleweight, man. Beetlejuice says, morning Fab, good to see you. How's this in the Gong going? How's things in the Gong? Beautiful, man. It's a beautiful place, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. I love it. I absolutely love it. Mixed Partial Fart says, Rob used to be a welterweight. DC used to be a heavyweight. Yeah, and I think the best DC is at heavyweight, to be honest with you. I think that's the best DC you see is the one at heavyweight. Arman's walking out right now. I am just going to put the fried rice to be heat up.
No.
Say hello. Hello.
No. Daddy. No.
Oh, well, she doesn't want to be a part of this brutality.
Daddy,
How's the weather in my part of the world currently? The weather's fantastic, to be honest with you. The sun's out. It's probably 21 degrees, something like that. which is colder than I like it to be. I like it to be hot. I like the heat, or I like it can be cold. I don't mind if it's cold. If not, I like it to be hot. I don't like the in between sort of temperature. My wife likes the in between type of temperature, like that 20, 21 degrees autumn, spring kind of thing. But I'm either hot or cold person. The water looks reasonably flat. Like it looks actually, the water looks nice. It looks like there are some parts of the beach you can surf on, and other parts that it's flat enough for you to go out spearfishing, which I plan to do one of the two after this podcast. Michael Wood says, "Hey Fab, love the new lighting. Looks less OnlyFans." Well, today the sun's out, and it's nice, and it's a nice time of the day for me to open the blinds and have the natural light. Usually, I don't get that opportunity. I know, but in fantasy land, DC Fun definitely could cut to middleweight on a long ass journey. Only in fantasy land, my friend. Mixed partial fights is cutest kid right there. Thank you, sir. She is definitely cute. I'll give her that. Mixed partial fight says it's 19 degrees. He currently was 28 earlier. Bryson Bo Wolf says, what's cold for me? For me, anything under 15 degrees Celsius is starting to get to the point of ridiculous. Bryson Bo Wolf says, I'm in the Midwest USA and winter is coming. Oh, nah, not Midwest USA. See, Midwest USA, I would enjoy the winter because it's a novelty. You know what I mean? The cold is a novelty, blah, blah, blah. But not not the because you get to rug up and all that stuff. That's all right, I don't like it when it's like it's cold, but it's not really cold. If it's cold and there's snow and that's different. All right, we are off. Arman in the orthodox stance, and I can't say that name. There'll be no chance of me saying Giagos. Giagos also in the orthodox stance. Arman holding the center of the octagon. Giagos on the peripheries of the octagon. Christos doing a good job of staying out of the way, feinting with the right hand. Arman's doing a fantastic job of holding that center of the octagon, but not overly committing. Arman's looking really, really good. Throws a step in left high kick. Inside leg kick by Arman. I see Christos going to struggle with Arman. Nice. Gets deep on that double leg on Christos, and Christos was able to push him back. He's basically now in the guard of Arman, and Christos has shown that he's got good jiu-jitsu here. He went from being in the butterflies, and then he opted to stay back inside the full guard of the open guard of Arman. Arman's showing off a very nice knowledge of the guard as well for someone that has a wrestle heavy game. So I like it. I like what's happening here between both these guys. The good matchups. These are good matchup fights. I didn't think Arman has been able to get himself back up onto his feet. Christos is pushing him up against the cage. He's got good head positioning and a deep underhook. Tries for a left elbow, does Christos, and Arman threw a left hook on that break. This is the thing, man. When people throw those shots like that in the break, the way that they both did, you don't understand how close those shots are. You only have to land them on the button, and that's anyone at any stage can land it and switch the other guy's lights off. And that's Arman did. I looked away for a second, and Arman landed a big shot. Christos is in all sorts of trouble. He's landing ground and pound, big ground and pound by Arman, and that is the fight, ladies and gentlemen. He landed a beautiful shot and dropped him. Wow. Fucking wow. I looked away for 1 second, and Arman landed a big shot and dropped Christos. Arman is interesting guy in this lightweight division. Interesting. Very, very interesting guy. He has a lot of power, does Arman. And his lone loss, other than a very, very early loss to Alexander Belik many, many, many moons ago, his sole loss in this division comes to Islam Makhachev by a decision. Nice left hook over the top. That's what dropped Christos. Man, he hit him with a nice left hook. That left hook over the top. Boom. He's got power, does Arman. He knows how to place his shots. So I don't know, man. Do we have yet another guy in this division, in this stacked lightweight division? Interesting. Now we got the women's flyweight division. Akayumi says, "Have you ever caught a barramundi?" I have not. Nicholas Bright says, "Only Fabs." Diaka says, "I prefer sword fishing, but spears are cool too." Thank you, sir. Hey Melon says, "Fab, what is your opinion on the latest old guy / YouTuber boxing stuff?" I don't like it, me personally. I don't like it. I'm not like against it. They shouldn't do it. I don't really like it. Honestly, I like it more than the bare knuckle boxing, because some of the bare knuckle boxing stuff and like some of those shows and that are pretty bad, man. Like they're pretty bad. When I say I like it more, it's like there's not a lot there being asked. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying I like it. It's not like Bellator, the UFC, or One, or anything like that. I think it's dangerous to a certain extent. You know, some of these older guys that are boxing, I think it's the Holyfield thing doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it. That's honest. I don't really like it. Mixed Partial Fight says, "I'm in Toronto. We get to the -20s and -30s here. I'd like to experience that, but I'm not like into it. Like I'm not like that. That's very cold. Where my wife's from originally, because she was born in Sydney, but where she's from originally, it's from like the Russian, Mongolian, Chinese border, like right on that triple border, right there. And it's like stupid cold in something like -40 or something in winter. And yeah, I don't know. I'd like to experience it. And my wife's like, yeah, no, we're good, because she's gone there a bunch of times. Mark Davis says, "This guy's frightening. He needs a top 15 right now, a real test." Yeah, absolutely. And see, this is what I mean. Like with Islam, even though it's retrospective, I still saw Islam beating him. You know what I mean? I didn't think this guy would beat Islam, even though this guy's so good. So I don't know. Bryson Beowulf says, "Shit, that's what Buckley just did off the break out of nowhere. It just takes one." That's what I was saying earlier. Like people don't get like those short shots out of the break. I said it in this fight. You know, he threw that left hook, but Christos had thrown an elbow just before it. But those shots in the break, when you just throw it, don't load it up. Just throw a little shot, just like in the break. You just have to land it, and you can cause all sorts of problems. Randy says, "Fab, another basketball question. Who's the best dunker of all time?" When you say the best dunker, do you mean like in a dunk contest, or do you mean like in a game? You know, the best in-game dunker, and again, this is again, I can only talk about my era. Jordan is right up there, but when I think of the best dunkers of all time, I have to go with Vince Carter. Um, the way he dunked was just out of this world, the stuff that he could do, you know, and how easy he made it look. My favorite dunker of all time, in game or otherwise, was Sean Kemp. You know, that to me was like the way that he did that at that time was incredible. You know, just that he looked like he was made of rubber, and he was like 6'10", and he moved so well. But then there's different categories of dunkers. Like the most devastating dunkers, when you think of like a Daryl Dawkins, or you think of Shaquille O'Neal. Um, like Shaq was in the post, he was dunking it on you no matter what you were doing. So there's a different type of dunker. And then outside of my era that I can remember, and you got to give this guy a lot of credit. Two of them that come to mind, right outside of my era, was Dr. J on Michael Cooper. The way he dunked that, he cuffed it and just jumped over him and dunked it. This was like so long before Jordan was doing the rock the cradle and all of that. So Dr. J is up there. Fuck, man, I don't know if I put him above Vince Carter just for what he was doing so far ahead of his era. And then you got to give Will Chamberlain. Like Will Chamberlain played professional volleyball as well. His leap was astronomical for a guy of that size. Um, and that was that was way ahead of our time, way ahead of me, like way before me. I'm talking about. So I really don't know. It's hard to gauge But Dr. J was someone I think that put dunking on the map at a different level. He was one of the first guys, if not the first guy, to put dunking at that level. Dominic Wilkins, Clyde Drexler is a underrated dunker as well. But if I have to pick one guy, best dunker of all time, I'd say Vince Carter, followed by, in my opinion, that I like to watch. Not followed by, but separate on a different thing. As in, my favorite guy to watch dunk was Sean Kemp. So I gave you the answers you needed, Randy. Or maybe not the ones you wanted. Oh, Mark Davis says Jordan killed Gainan. Yeah, but he's not like NBA player dunk in the game. He's just like a specialist dunker. And I think that those guys that I was saying, like guys like Dr. J, probably paved the way to have those kind of shows in like a Jordan kind of guy. Nicholas Bright says the fight circus stuff leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It does. I really don't like it. I really don't like yeah, it's exactly that. It's just like, man, I don't enjoy it. You know what I mean? Um, Alcar says Florida Athletic Commission is a joke for letting Holyfield compete. They would exhume a dead body and put it in the ring and give it a boxing license. They did, they do, they would, but I can't just say it's a Florida Athletic Commission. Like if you think about some of the stuff, you know, that's happened, and who's been allowed to fight, people have failed tests in one state, be allowed to fight in the other. Like the whole thing's a joke. Anderson KOing Tito was very satisfying. Dude, Anderson, Tito, Chuck, I don't like seeing them fight anymore, to be honest with you. I really don't. Bryson Bo Wolf says, shit, your body is so compact and condensed at that range. The shots have full body connectivity and full power. You're landing with your biceps fully engaged and all the torque's coming from the core. That's all. That is true. And also the biggest thing, I think, not only that, is the guy doesn't even see it. You can't see it. It's coming out like from kind of outside of your periphery because you're not, you're not looking, you're looking like this, right? And the shot's just coming here from the outside. You don't even see it coming. Trilla is kind of just pointing out some of the horrible parts of combat sports. I hope it ends with a review of some of these commissions. Yeah, but man, like the fight game's dirty. You know what I mean? It's been dirty forever. So I don't think that's like that's just going to be the end all be all of it. Like there's a lot of dirty shit that's happened. So yeah. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can get my daughter. Sorry, dude.
Mommy.
Oh no, mommy, you're killing your mum, mate. You're killing your mum.
Mom.
See, the outcast says, I still want to see Fab versus Danny DeVito on the next Paul fight undercard. I would, man. Even all the stuff that we just finished saying, I'm still hoping to get a payday by taking a fight with Danny DeVito, Morgan Freeman, any of those guys. Bryson Bo Wolf says, look at the decisions in boxing, mostly political and financial. Man, like it's also like the way that it's judged as well leaves a lot of margin for that error to occur. Bryson Bo Wolf says, who benefits? In boxing, you mean, or in the promotions? Because when you put up a promotion like that, like a lot of people are watching. There's a lot of people making money off it. So we're about to kick off. Say hello, everyone. Kira, say hello.
Hello.
Oh, say hello.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Ariane Lipski, the queen of violence, is about to kick off versus Mandy Böhm Monster. I'm not fully familiar with it. Matt Joe says that is one calm kid. she she can be, dude, but she was running a muck outside just a second ago, running an absolute muck. Um, yeah. Mark Davis says boxing question. I'm a huge Fury fan. Do you rate Wilder as a boxer or respect him as a man? I don't know him as a man. You know what I mean? I don't know him as a man. Like, so I don't know. You only know what you see, and what you see is not real. You know what I mean? For any of them, the good guys, the bad guys, you don't know. You don't really know what's real or what's not. So as a man, I leave it out. Do I rate him as a boxer? Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's the technical boxer with the great footwork of someone like Fury or Muhammad Ali or a technical and tactical guy like the Klitschko brothers, but he does what he does really really well, and he does it like he backs himself to do it, and he's confident in what he does, and he's confident to do it, and he's able to land those big shots, man, on people. You know, he landed on Tyson Fury as well. But as far as like being the boxer that Tyson Fury is, no, I don't think he is. As a man, like I said, you don't. No one that you know, no one that you watch in fighting, you don't know them, or in athletics or whatever, you don't, or celebrities, you don't know them. You don't know if they're a good guy or not or whatever. And sometimes you're friends with people for a long time and you don't really know them. So I'll leave that stuff out. Um, Nicholas Bright says 2-4 in the UFC on a 2-fight losing streak. You can't convince me Lipski isn't in the co-main because she's good looking. Are we in the co-main already? Surely not. No, that Kutalibo and Dingo's the co-main. Hey Mellon says Vitor versus Holyfield was a travesty that should have been stopped long ago. Silva versus fair opponents is in a different bracket and had been fun so far, in my opinion. You see, to me, honestly, like I don't like seeing Silva fight Tito, fight Chuck fight Tito. I don't I don't really enjoy it, but that's me. That's me. Uh, Do I see anyone outside of Rob posing a threat to Izzy? And do you see Izzy moving up again? I see Israel moving up if the situations are right for him. You know what I mean? Um, I think if he could have picked it, I think he would have moved up already. Had he have beat Jan, I think that was one of the plays that he was making. Had he have beat him, I think he would have moved up. Um, I think he probably will move up again. And no, no, leave it here, and I'll eat this after. I'll leave it here till she's okay. So I do see Israel moving up. I don't see anyone outside of Rob really posing a threat at this point because I don't know how Alex Pereira is going to look in this division right now without having seen him fight in the UFC. If he can get his confidence up, if he can get good rhythm in his fighting, if he gets brought up along with the right set of opponents, um, then and Pereira shows that he can actually implement his superb striking in MMA. If he can show all of those things, I see Pereira giving him a run too. Um, Ren Witchell says, Fab, I'm not convinced Paddy Pimblett is champion material. What do you think he needs to change to increase his chances of a title fight? Man, like, to be honest with you, it's still early days. Like that fight that he had against in his last fight, I think it was a fight that he was always going to win, in my opinion. Um, I'd like to see a bit more before I give like a actual opinion of whether he can go the whole way. Because going the whole way has got a lot to do with who you fight, how you fight. It's got a lot of luck involved as well. You know what I mean? Like you could get clipped and it derails you. You know what I mean? You could get your knee stomped on and you're out for a year and a half. If it's a real bad injury and you don't recover well from it. So there's a lot of things. Also, you can win a couple of fights and you start to get really, really confident, and you get more money. And when you have more money, you have more avenues by which you can improve your training. So there's a lot of factors that happen. There's a lot of factors that contribute to your success. So I need to see him fight a bunch of times. Nicholas Bright says, "Oh shit, you're right. I blanked on that. Must be all the lockdowns making me lose time." I, I don't know, Nicholas Bright, what you're referring to. Mark Wood says, "Fab, are you staying on for the Romero fight?" I plan to. John Condrum says, "Nicholas' 6-fight main card is out of the ordinary too, man." Mark Davis on Wilder, his comments on the loss, blaming the trainer, etc. I'll get back to that in one sec. The girls have kicked off. Lipski versus Böhm. Lipski in the yellow, throwing combinations at Böhm. Both girls throwing a lot of heavy leather. Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I see this mainly with the girls. They seem to throw when they're just outside of range. It's weird. Not all the girls, but a lot of the girls, they kind of throwing and they're out of each other's range, just like a step outside of each other's range. Sorry, people, I'm going to have to eat, otherwise I'm not going to last both shows. Nice. She turns it into a nice trip using the whizzer. Does Lipski, but Böhm persists. Bomb's going to end up on the bottom. She's end up on the bottom in a quarter guard. Now it's full mount by Lipski. Lipski could even go for a guillotine from the mount. She's back in half guard. Back in half guard. Böhm had the underhook. Now she's in full guard. She's in full guard. She's going to go look at hunting for an armbar, but the elbow is already out by Lipski. Lipski's showing good, very, very good jiu-jitsu knowledge here. Mark Davis on the comments by him blaming his trainer. I didn't hear him. I don't know. I don't really like that kind of stuff, really, at the end of the day. It's like the trainer shitting on you for losing. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is that? But I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about their relationship. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really like that kind of talk, to be honest with you, because it's like the trainer taking all the credit for him getting to the title. Like it's stupid. Like, you can't really blame the trainer for the loss. Unless, I don't know, maybe the trainer kept him up all night doing coke. I don't know. That's what I mean. I don't know. Now Böhm is on the bottom. She's using the body triangle, which I'm not a fan of in MMA from the bottom like this, because it does, whilst it limits Lipski's movement and affects her breathing a little bit. For Böhm, there's not a hell of a lot of stuff that she can do from the bottom there in the triangle, in the leg triangle. Now, that isn't to say, people are going to say, no, Gordon Ryan uses it. She's not Gordon Ryan, and this isn't jiu-jitsu. So yeah. So able to get back to the feet. And I don't see this fight, with all due respect, being incredibly exciting, to be honest with you. I could be wrong. I hope I'm proved wrong. I just don't see the girls really landing these shots with a lot of vigor, which is something you don't see a lot of in the women's MMA. The girls that can make a massive difference, make a huge difference. They're punching just outside of each other's range, just outside. Pereira's striking is incredibly entertaining. Yeah, his striking is so good, and he's got dynamite at the end of that left hook. He's got absolute dynamite. He doesn't have to wind it up a lot or anything like that. Like, he really, when he hits you with that, he hits fucking hard. And the right hand, when he hits you at the end of the right hand, straight rights, money. It's got good ability to launch those kicks out of nowhere with very little tell. WR says, "Sup, Fab? What's up, mate? How are you?" Matt Joe says, "I legit want to see if Izzy implements a grappling clinch game against Pereira. Not full on takedowns, but the pressure against the fence, dirty boxing style that Reem started using at the end." I don't necessarily see him doing that like that for two reasons. It's so far different to how he fights, and that takes a lot of energy if that's not your game. And Israel's very fluid. He's a counter striker. He likes to fight on the bluff. That's like complete polar opposites. You know what I mean? Like that's like playing Messi at sweeper. You know, like I'm sure like he'd be good at it, but it's not. It's not going to be the smart thing for you to do with him. And I don't see him doing it against Pereira. He might implement some of that a little bit, but he's not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater either. Like Israel's a very, very good striker in his own right. Um, Michael Wood says my theory is girls throw at pad range. There is an element of truth to that. Bryson says a lot of girls don't have confidence in their hands, so that they don't overextend to land bombs. The payoff isn't there. Yeah, but you shouldn't be over. I agree with you to a certain extent because they know they don't have that power to just drop you. But you don't have to overextend to land bombs, and you're fighting with 4 ounce gloves. If you're fighting in a little bit tighter range and you can land those shots, you don't have to land them hard. You just have to land them. Ren Mitchell says could be throwing outside of range to get reads. Yeah, but the whole fight's like that, dude. And women's fights, a lot of the times are like that, just outside of the range. The Outcast says, who wins? Hungover wine Paul Costa versus week long coke binge John Jones. John Jones will fucking murder him. You know, bad. Um, Mark Davis says, what do I think of Alex Pereira joining the UFC? I've been harping on about it for the whole show. You know, I think, like I said, I think it's great, but I think Pereira has to. It depends who they match him up with and how he does in those fights. You know, whether or not he can get his timing right, his confidence right to fight in the octagon. Because at the moment he hasn't got as much of experience as Israel or Rob or any of the better strikers in that division, and it's harder to implement the striking game without the corners of the ring if that's all you've been fighting. He has had a few MMA fights, but nowhere near as many as the top guys, and nowhere near the same level of competition. So both girls, Lipski's holding the center of the octagon, but again, the shots are coming from just outside the range. Neither girls are landing the actual shots flush. Throws a right hand, does Lipski. They are landing the leg kicks on each other, but no real shots flush. Matt Joe says it's crazy to see a stark contrast between the skill in the girls in the top three of each division versus the girls outside the top five. It's like watching a different promotion. And that's the thing, like there just isn't the depth in women's MMA at this point. Like your Amanda Nunes, like there's some really, really good women's fighters, but the drop off between the top 3, 4, 5 and the number 12th ranked girl is huge. It's huge. Like you don't have the girls like Arman who fought just earlier that aren't they're not fighting top 15 and you're looking at them going fuck wow this person can really really fight. You don't really see that in the girls divisions. You see the top 2 3 girls that can really fight like Rose Namajunas. Like there's a whole Shevchenko. There's a whole bunch of women that can really fight. Sorry, people. Just checking something. Yeah, like Shevchenko, like against Lauren Murphy, for instance. I don't see Lauren Murphy beating Shevchenko. I just don't. Outside of maybe catching her. 2 minutes and 16 seconds to go in this second round. The shots haven't really landed, and they're still coming laborious at this stage. Um, Fogo Naroba says, if you had to guess, Fab, how much do you think Israel weighs inside the cage? We need to stop the narrative that he's light just because he cuts to 183.5. Israel would be about 90 kilos in the cage, 90, 91 kilos, something like that. No lighter than that. He's a big fucking boy. He's a big kid. He's not a kid. I mean, he's a big boy. Like he's fucking big guy. It's not just how big you are, how heavy you are when you're walking around. People don't understand that. It's your frame, the whole everything. He'll walk around at 91, 92 kilos, but he's fucking lean and he's 6'4", 6'5", and he's doing that easy. You know what I mean? He's not a guy that's like trying to get bigger or anything. He's walking lean 92, 93 kilos, and he could get heavier if he wanted to. So it's not just how heavy you are, like in between camps and all this shit. It's not that. No, he's not a little guy. And I've met him like a bunch of times. I've spoken to him. I've been in the corner when Rob fought him. He's not little at all. Justin G versus Chandler is one I'm looking forward to. Man, that'll be a great fight while it lasts. I do not see that fight going the distance, and I think Chandler's going to try and take that to the ground. Chandler on top is going to give Justin a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Alka says, I don't think Izzy will be bigger than 195 fight night. His power comes from his levers being so long and his technique, not size. I don't know what to say to him, man. I've been there when he's fought. Lipski is going to finish his fight. It looks like he dropped her. She's landed some ground and pound. And yeah, he's not a little guy. That's all I'm going to say to you. But he does have great technique, and his leverage gives him even bigger advantage in strength. But he's not little, dude. He's not. Matt Joe says we should just let everyone outside of women's top 5 juice. Hey Mellon says frame and natural lever muscle distribution is often overlooked. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's one of the things like people just go, oh no, he's not a big guy. Well, this is how much he weighs. It's like it doesn't it's people don't get that. Same as the Diaz brothers. The Diaz brothers aren't small. Like Nick Diaz is not a small guy. Neither is Nate. When you see him like Nate fighting at lightweight, he's a big dude, man. He's a big guy. Looks like tall and skinny, but they're long, man. They're real long guys. The way that they're built is different to they're not little guys. Again, having seen them, having met them, like I know my size and I look at them or I look like Israel, like surprised me, man, how big he was. He went when I met him. And when I've like had to deal with him, you know what I mean? Like and see him and that and see the way that like when he cuts weight, he's gaunt as well. It's not like he just walked on the scales. Third round of this fight with the women's. So yeah, I don't and he fought at 205 whilst he was smaller. He wasn't like he wouldn't even be a small light heavyweight, dude. If he'd have to like put on a little bit of weight in that, but he wouldn't be a small light heavyweight. Pereira is kind of built the same way. Yeah, 100%. He is very similar guy. Nicholas Bright says Bomb's doing a lot of posturing for someone who's getting hit by every second overhand right. Yeah, there's just not a lot of. Oh, hits her with a nice left high kick. Does Lipski on Bomb? I've got Lipski winning this fight so far, but I can't say I get terribly excited watching this fight. Bomb goes looking for a flying knee. Both girls exchanging here. The strikes that are coming from, in particular, Bomb are very laborious, man. Very like, kind of like wading underwater. Lipski landing a few leg kicks there. Matt Joe says, how do I think Robbie will do against Nick? Do I think Robbie has another good fight left in him? Honestly, dude, when I see these fights, like both of these guys are getting close to 40. If not, they're already 40. I don't know exact ages. It starts to get, whilst they still have good fights in them, I don't really I like it because I'm a fan of both guys. I think they're always going to come to fight, and I think they're kind of matched well. So yeah, I think Robbie has a good fight in him against Diaz. I haven't. It's a hard fight to pick. I haven't seen Diaz fight in a long time. But yeah, I think Robbie still has a good fight in him for sure. Against someone that's matched well like that, like an older guy, etc., etc. Oh, bombs dropped. Lipski dropped her with her right hand. Now she's landing ground and pound. Böhm is trying to look for a double leg. Lipski's landing shots everywhere in the side of the head, back of the head, ears everywhere. Böhm puts her into the guard. She's got her in full guard. Böhm was in a lot of trouble. Lipski's got 2 minutes and 14 seconds to go. A finish here would be nice for her. Bryson says Nick is 38 and Robbie's 39. Yeah, so the better part of 40 for it, in fairness. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Fogo says, how do you see Costa versus Vittori going? I see Vittori beating Costa, I think. Yeah. I think if I think Costa will beat him. I mean, Vittori will beat Costa, I think. I think he's just got more tools in his belt. And I think Costa, outside of catching Vittori in those first 7 minutes, I think Vittori can implement some wrestling, can make it ugly, can get out of the way of some of those shots and survive and make it ugly for Costa later in the fight. I don't think that the Romero that Costa fought was the same Romero from the Chris Weidman Whitaker fight, the first fight with Whitaker, the Weidman fight. Those fights were some of the best. The Rockhold fight, some of those fights were the best Romero that I'd seen. Not even the Rockhold fight. He was already changing, but the other fights, yeah. So he's kind of got her in a cow catcher, does Lipski, and Bombs in a half guard. She can get the finish here. You can get a submission from there. I don't think that she will necessarily get the submission. I don't think that she's going to stop her. There's 47 seconds to go. Lipski has this in half guard. I believe Lipski has won this fight. Nicholas Bright says Lipski landed the same overhand all fight. I agree. The outcast says I could see Nick putting the pace on Robbie similar to how Colby did, but we'll see. Robbie's been in a lot of wars. Yeah, I see Robbie. I see Nick just putting that pressure on that he does, but it's only 3 rounds if I'm not mistaken, So in a 3-round fight, it's different. Like Robbie can come out and land some big bombs as well, and Diaz is susceptible to getting hit and susceptible to getting cut. Fogo says, interesting. It's hard for me to say just how good or bad Costa is since he didn't really fight a lot of guys at the top. That is true, and also like the way that he fights, though, the way that the way that he fights is like very one-dimensional. Like he'll come forward to box with you. He doesn't really have that wrestling and grappling background to really implement that part of it. That isn't to say he can't grapple, but he really fights a certain way. You know what I mean? And I see Vittori having had more experience with high-level guys, and I don't see why Vittori wouldn't be able to get Costa down after a while. I'd like to talk about the fried rice that I'm eating, and in this one, the secret recipe, the secret ingredient here are scallops that my wife put in, and the scallops give the fried rice a spectacular taste. Also, the chicken sausage in this fried rice, it gives a good level of fat in there, and it really, really brings out the taste of everything. Really love it because the scallops in that, it's like they've sucked in all the flavor of the chicken, of the chicken sausage, and so has the rice, the egg, the prawns that are all in there. They've really soaked up that that kind of fatty taste. I really love it. Matt Joe says, I kind of wonder if Romero is blind in that left eye of his. He gives me Bisping vibes. He failed the medical eye test but claims now that he got poked in sparring. Dude, I was there. in the corner in the first and second rounds, and dude, his eyes, not just one eye, but both eyes were fucked. But one eye in particular was a mess. I don't even know how he got through that fight. Fogo says Nick looks like a barely functioning alcoholic. If I'm being honest, hope it doesn't look like Vitor versus Holyfield. Mark Davis says, what champs that lose their belts this year in the next 12 months, Fab? I'll say Aljo Sterling takes a loss to Yan. Any idea, guy? I think Yan beats Sterling as well, but Sterling is a jumping bean, man, and it's hard to unpredictable striking with good grappling. He might do it, but I don't think he'll beat Peter Yan. Hard to say who will lose their belts. I think Rob has a really good chance against Israel. I think I pick Rob in that fight. But yeah, Schwet Lord says, what fight is on? Lipski just finished. Hey Mellon says, Romero's last finish and win was in 2018. He relies on explosion and he's 44. Maybe he still is, but father time is a bitch. No, 100% agree with you. 100% agree. Mark Davis says, champions that lose their belts in the next 12 months. My bet, Aljo, Rob beats Izzy, and Ghani beats Francis. Any thoughts? Could be. Could be. Could be. Um, could be. I would back. I think Rob will beat Israel. And just because I think that fight's a close one and it's a 50-50 fight every time, I just think Rob will beat him. I think Rob on top, if he's able to get him to the ground, will even be worse for Israel. But I do think that even striking, like Israel, I'd say technically has more of an advantage, technically and tactically striking. But Rob's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of different angles and different things to get in. But his he is a very, very good grappler. He is a very good wrestler, very good grappler. Interesting, man. Interesting. I can't talk about it too much, without giving away too much. I'll probably talk about it more closer to the fight. And Ghani and Francis, I don't know, dude. Francis is X factor because of his power. Fogo says, a fun fight coming up. I respected Clark's skill ever since he dropped and almost finished Rakic in the first round of their fight. True. And that's why I think that either Kutalibo gets this done early or Clark will be a bit too tidy for him. Do I think if John Jones stuck around at light heavyweight, Blachowicz would have got the jump on him? I don't know. Blachowicz is a very awkward guy. He's a very, very awkward kind of fighter. I don't know. I don't know that if that in that sort of scenario, I think John would beat him. I think John would beat him. Scott McDonald says, hey Fab, big fan over in Singapore here. Thank you, sir. How do you think Stipe fares against the current top heavyweights? Do you think he's past his prime, or could he still beat Ghani or Francis? Look, I think he looked good against Francis, but Francis has that X factor, man, that you can look good and then you get fucking hit and it's over, and he's already got a win over Francis. So no, I don't think his best days. Like I don't think that it's over for him. No, I don't. What's my thoughts on Tom Espinal from Mark Davis? He looks good, man. He looks good. He looks like he has a lot of potential. Like again, how you get matched up, who you get matched up against, how you fight, etc., etc. All of that matters a lot. The Outcast says, Fab, did you hear the story how Blachowicz found a man hanging and kept a piece of the rope as a weird Polish good luck charm and since then he hasn't lost a fight. Weird stuff. Fucking oath, that's weird. That's 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 creepy weird. This fried rice is so good. It's just so good. The scallops, people. If you have a chance to put scallops in your fried rice, please do so. Kutalibo's now about to walk in. Got to give Kutalibo this. He's an exciting guy. He's an exciting character. Got a lot of power. He looks like a cartoon character. Looks like a G.I. Joe figure. Powerful guy. Interesting. He always makes it exciting. I'll give him that. I don't think he'll ever be champion in the light heavyweight division, or even like a real serious contender. But he's always an exciting guy. The fighting spirit stats brought to you by Modelo, Cerveza Modelo. I don't find him that skillful, but I like watching him fight. Mark Wood says, apologies if you already talked about it, but how do you see the two title fights on UFC 266 going down? Let's talk about 266 real quick. I don't see Valentina losing. I see Valentina beating Murphy. And I don't see Volkanovski losing. And you don't need to apologize. You can ask the same thing a million times. And I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate you asking questions and sharing this time with me. I really do. But no, I don't see Shevchenko losing, and I don't see I don't see um I don't see Volkanovski losing, either one of them. Crazy night of fights, but next week be absolutely amazing. I see Valentina bashing Lauren Murphy, to be honest with you. No disrespect to Lauren Murphy. I just think Valentina, there's no disrespect to her. Like, you can be really, 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 really good, and still not be as good as what Shevchenko is in the women's division. It's just one of those things, man. Like, to use a basketball analogy, sorry you were in the, you know, in the time of Michael Jordan. If you weren't in the time of Michael Jordan, there would have been a lot of guys that would have been fantastic. Clark with an early takedown, gets a takedown. Smart from Clark. Very smart. He has to make Kutalibo work. Kutalibo got back to his feet, but Clark once again trying to get this takedown, and it's very, very smart. He has to make Kutalibo work. The more he can make him work, the more chances of gassing him later in the fight are. And that's what's smart. You don't want to he does tend to gas, he does tend to use a lot of energy, and smart. Clark's doing a fantastic job right off the bat. He's not giving that time for Kutalibo to use his power. Big knees by Kutalibo in the clinch, though. Kutalibo looks for a right kick to the body, which partially lands. Both guys in the orthodox stance. Devin Clark is skirting the peripheries of the octagon. Kutalibo looking to land a huge right hand. You can see him trying to set up this right hand. He's going to throw an overhand right. Both guys, very powerful man. Very, very powerfully built. Both very strong. Clark fainting. Kutalibo looks a little more settled. I don't know if that's because Clark has kind of imposed a little bit of, a little bit of his own strength on Kutaliba, and Kutaliba's just settled down a little bit. Nice little front kick by Kutaliba. Oh, nice little hook kick by Clark. Kutaliba goes looking for an oblique kick. Oh, nice jab. Nice blitz with the jab and a left high kick by Clark. Nice. I was really impressed by that blitz by Clark. Clark's got some good speed on him. Nice little overhand right landed by Clark. One of the things, Clark's a lot faster, man. A lot faster. And he's able to change the tempo of the fight. So he kind of lures him by fighting at a slower tempo. Romero does this probably the best out of anyone I've seen. Oh, shit! Kutaliba lands a huge shot on Clark. It's going to be over. Kutaliba with some big ground and pound. Huge ground and pound by Kutaliba. Kutaliba's landing some big shots, some big elbows, big right hand. Clark's in all sorts of trouble. Clark's kicking away at Kutaliba. 1 minute and 56 seconds to go. Clark gets to his feet. There's 1 minute and 50 seconds to go. Kutaliba's very good Greco-Roman wrestler, by the way. So this falls straight into what he wants to do. This is a great position for Kutaliba. He'll be very comfortable. He's basically got him in parterre with wrist control, landing shots with his left hand. Even if Clark survives this round, he's going to have taken a lot of damage, man. A lot of damage. Kutaliba's very comfortable here in riding him from this position. He's going to land some good shots here on Clark. Clark's holding on to that wrist for dear life. Did a good job to defend himself. He put the wrist on the opposite side of his head, so it was hard for Kutaliba to get any purchase to land any good power shots from that position. Jesus. My Lord. Oh, nice little high kick by Kutaliba. You've got to be careful that he doesn't punch himself out of the fight as well, Kutaliba. But he landed a nice shot on Clark. The thing that surprises me is the significant speed. Doesn't surprise me, but the significant speed advantage that Clark has. It'd be interesting to see if he's able to utilize it more in the second round if he gets this far. Big uppercuts landed by Kutaliba. Big uppercuts landed from this parterre position. This is like that classical pancration statue that you have. You see it. He's holding onto the cage ref. Clark's in all sorts of trouble. Oh, Kutaliba's landing huge shots with 19 seconds to go. Clark's trying to fight back. I do believe you. Oh, nice trip by Kutaliba into the full mount. He's framing and landing some big elbows on Clark. Clark's punching from the bottom. There's 7 seconds to go. Another elbow landed by Kutaliba. Kutaliba's framing and landing some big shots, and that is the round. I don't like that he held onto the cage. That gives you a massive, massive advantage. Ooh. Shretlord says, do you think Jan has what it takes to get past both Glover and Jiri? Very different styles. Will be a challenging 12 months of Polish power. Glover's an interesting cat because, again, he's one of those people that what he does very well, and he's very confident in what he does, and he's very confident to do what he does. So he's got nice, tidy boxing with a nice snatch single leg, and he runs a pipe from that, and then he passes his guard and goes for that top control head arm. Very, very, that's what he does. But he does it, and it's very hard to stop him. Yes, sir, Sasank, it is fried rice. And like I said, the fried rice, the secret ingredient in this fried rice are the scallops. My wife put some scallops in there, and the scallops, as well as the rice and the eggs, all like kind of soak in the fat from the chicken sausage. Okay, so we're off, guys. In this second round, I don't know how rattled. Two things. I don't know how rattled Clark is, and how much Kutaliba may have punched himself out. Oh, he goes looking for that overhand right. Oh, nice little Nice little leg kick landed by Clark. Nice high kick by Clark. This is important. That left high kick that Clark threw is a very, very important one against someone like Kutalibo, whose main weapon there is that big overhand right, and it forces him to keep that right hand at home and also lands on that right hand. Kutalibo's that's his weapon of choice, that right hand over the top. Clark's got, he's still looking light on his feet. He's able to blitz really quickly, is Clark. But Kutalibo's able to land really good power. Left body kick landed by Clark. Kutalibo with a nice trip takedown moves to mount, and Clark's going to be in a lot of trouble because I don't see him moving his hips the way he needs to get out from mount. Really, by now, he should have already moved his hips. He should have already been able to regain the half guard if he wants to get out of there without using too much energy or taking too much damage. Now, Kutalibo on top, a big, strong guy with his wrestling background and his power, is not going to be fun. Little hammer fists from the bottom from Clark are not going to do much to Kutalibo. Now, Kutalibo has moved his knees up to the armpits of Clark, which really make it very, very difficult for him to get any upper body movement. And really starts to isolate the arms. A good setup for an armbar, which Kutalibo is not going to go for, but it pretty much renders the arms of Clark useless. However, it does kind of free up the hips, but Clark doesn't have the jiu-jitsu where he's going to be able to move those hips in that manner. He's going to stay at the bottom for the rest of the round if Kutalibo doesn't finish him. Kutalibo looks at times to want to isolate an arm for a key lock, but I don't believe he's going to do that. I believe he's going to keep framing and landing the elbows on Clark's face. I cannot stress enough to you how difficult this is for the guy on the bottom. He's carrying all the weight of Kutalibo on top of him. He's not able to breathe properly, and at the same time, he's getting hit in the face, and that disrupts your breathing immensely. That pressure that he's putting on him, landing the elbows on his face, is really, really, like, even though he's not landing the shots, it's just really tiring him out. The other problem, the fact that he's in this position, also means that Devin Clark is not an efficient grappler, which makes him need to use even more energy to get the better of every position. 1 minute and 39 seconds. Kutalibo went for the most, I'm going to call it, creative armbar that I've ever seen. Nice double leg attempt by Kutalibo. He's looking for this takedown. Lands a knee flush to the face of Clark. 1 minute to go. Kutalibo's happy to just ride this out. He'll have won 2 rounds to 1 if Clark can't get the finish. And Clark can wrestle, but his jiu-jitsu is not that good. I'm sure he can grapple. That's the thing that happens a lot of times with the wrestlers. Like, they can grapple, and they can grapple well, even in the gym against good grapplers. But then getting put in specific positions, like on your back in full mount, unless you spend a lot of time doing that, a lot of time doing jiu-jitsu, it's a very specific position that you might find yourself in a fight. Nice trip by Kutalibo. Kutalibo, I believe, won the Moldovan or Romanian nationals as a junior in Greco-Roman, which is a fucking high level, man. They can wrestle over there. They can really, really wrestle. So it's a high level, it's a very, very high level of wrestling. Okay. Mark Wood says, obviously you can't give away, but what would you say is going to be Whittaker's biggest improvement between the first fight and the second? I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like, oh, he has to improve. As Rob's a fucking hell of a fighter. People talk like he's lost 1 fight in the middleweight division. right? And I don't know, he's like 14-1 or something in the middleweight division. It's not like he just went out there and oh shit, couldn't do anything against Israel, and then now he's had to improve by this. Man, this fight is a hard fight for both guys. It's just who's going to be better on the day and who's going to be able to implement what on the day. It's a game of inches, man. There's not a lot in those fights. Sweat Lord says, any update on the food channel? I want to do it, man. I want to do it. It's more like a confidence thing, believe it or not. Nicholas Bright says, missed that whole first round, but I reckon the delivery guy 100% heard Fab screaming from my computer. Does Clark have a hematoma on his neck? I can't see it. His mouth is bleeding pretty bad. Sorry, guys, I'm going to skip a few. Is Cutelaba the best boxing coach of all time or Emmanuel Stewart? I don't know. A lot of the times, they might be two of the best known, but there's a lot of good boxing coaches. A lot. It depends what metric you use to say who was the best boxing coach of all time. I don't know. Then there's a lot of guys like in the Cuban and Russian systems that have coached a hell of a lot of good amateurs, man. Like to several, lots and lots of Olympic gold medals in Russia and Cuba. So I don't know what metric you use. It all depends on that. Single leg attempt by Kutalibo gets him down, gets Clark down with relative ease. Clark's now on the bottom, and Clark suffers a lot there on the bottom. Kutalibo's a big, strong man with a really good wrestling base, and he's already hurt Clark. So you're having some really good some really good fights this card. And I hope the Bellator card goes good. Devin Clark sneaks out the back door. 3 minutes and 52 seconds to go. Kutalibo holding him up against the cage. He's got a whizzer and he's looking for a big throw from there, like a Uchimata type throw. Devin Clark is looking for a throw of his own. C-Law says, give my boy Dan Hooker a visa. Did he resolve that? No idea, mate. I hope so. Kutalibo went looking for a spinning elbow, missed. Clark got the body lock, went looking for an outside trip, wasn't able to do it. Kutalibo once again deep on this double leg, gets a double leg, rips Devin Clark up off the cage. 2 minutes and 47 seconds to go. Great work here. I won't be staying on this stream for the Bellator card. I'll be going to the Bellator stream, which should be up already on the notifications. Good ground and pound landing now by Kutalibo. He's got Devin Clark in a position that Devin Clark would not be used to at all. He's on his back. He's controlling one of Devin Clark's legs. Put his shin and knee across the throat of Devin Clark, and he's gone north-south now on Devin Clark, and he's looking for the mount again, which he will get. He's got the mount. Devin Clark's off his back. His jiu-jitsu is not very good. Kutalibo really, honestly, should just stay here the rest of the fight. Land some elbows, but there's no risk of him losing here. On the feet, there's always a chance of getting clipped. So, yeah. One minute, 19 seconds to go. Oh, the elbow's landing from Kutalibo. Again, he switches. He rolls out of it. Does Clark. Kutalibo doesn't have the best ability to maintain the mount or the back. Oh, so he goes looking for a double leg. There's Kutalibo. Clark was able to stop it. He sprawled, stopped it, and then reversed it and put Kutalibo on his back with 51 seconds to go. Is there going to be enough time for Clark to create some real damage on Kutalibo from the top? I don't know. Kutalibo looks like he's got understanding enough of the guard to be able to stop Clark from passing. Neither one of these guys has high-level jiu-jitsu off their back. But I don't think Clark is going to be able to do that much from this position at this time with 25 seconds to go. Clark is landing some shots. 5 seconds to go. Kutalibo gets a takedown. That's a match. Kutalibo won that. Mark Wood says, I have a lot of love for Rob, and for some reason I get the feeling he wins the rematch. I think he'll win the rematch. Just curious if there was anything he honed in on specifically or something of that type. I don't know. I don't work with Rob anymore. I haven't worked with Rob for like close to 2 years. Mark Wood says, love the responses though, Fab. The Outcast says, Hooker says if he gets a visa, he'll have to fly out and fight the next day. Jet lag would suck too if you have that in a fight, I imagine. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what the I don't know what the situation. Excuse me. I almost died from a piece of rice. Matt Joe says, speaking of Hooker, what's the worst shape you saw a fighter fight in without anyone knowing how bad they were? Not needing to name names, of course. I've seen a lot of guys fight in fucking really bad things, really bad shape and everything. But I will tell you this one right now. Make sure I get I'll tell you right now. Make sure that I got the name correct. And I do, I just I'm a rather careful fellow. Travis Luder. That's one that comes to mind, like how bad his weight cut was. And then he fought Anderson Silva. But I've seen guys fight that shouldn't have been fighting, for sure. You know what I mean? For sure. Tasman Andrew says, tap out, Fab. It's not worth it. I almost died, mate. I almost died. DSC says, hi, Fab. What are you doing these days? These days, like now, because we're in lockdown, we've been in lockdown, like these last 2 years have been real hard, because I haven't been able to get good momentum. I'm doing some corporate work. some consultancy and corporate work, so I do some like team building kind of stuff with some corporate companies, and I'm doing my master's degree at university, and just now I got my daughter who's going to turn 2, and I'm going to have another little one in December. So just been a lot of time with my family, like spending a lot of time with my family, coaching a few people, but I'm not really like full time coaching anyone at the moment, just because mainly I want to spend the next like 5 years or so with my family. That's been always has been part of my plan to spend, like when I had kids, to be able to spend those first 4 or 5 years with them. So I'm taking some time to do a master's at university, to do a bit of corporate work and that, do a little bit of coaching, but mainly spend time with my family. That's mainly the big goal for me. Hey Melon says, "Oh my God, Luther versus Silva. He was a corpse." Yeah, that's one that comes to mind when I think of it. Like that's one like word association. When you say it, I think it. It's that one. But I've seen a lot of other ones, man, where I'm like, fuck, this person shouldn't be fighting. Yeah, almost died. It was pretty brutal. That now there's guys that, and then there's other people that I've seen, like I've trained with them. You know what I mean? I've trained with them, and they're fighting in the UFC, and I'm like, fuck, man, you shouldn't be fighting. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be fighting. You're not, without being a dickhead, but you're not good enough. You know what I mean? You're not. I don't think you're good enough, and they might win some fights because they're tough guys and everything, but skill wise, like I'm like, what the fuck? Like if you fighting in the UFC, come on. Like I think that I've never said it. Bryson says, "Hey coach, with the main event being Lionheart Smith and you being Rob's coach, I figure you're the man to ask. What are some of your favorite blood and guts combat sport performances?" I'm not. I don't coach Rob anymore. Um, Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti are fucking insane. Those fights were not good for their health. Um, Robin Romero's right up there. The second fight, that was insane. Um, Frankie Edgar's, so many of Frankie Edgar's fights. Honestly, there's too many blood and guts stuff to think about, and I don't really like it because I just know the amount of damage it's sustained by each guy. You know what I mean? I don't really like to see those kind of fights. I I I know just how much damage, like the shots that people are taking to their head, and you can. There's some fights you see the shots that the guys are taking, like Gaddy and Ward, and you know that those dudes are getting hardcore brain damage. You know it, like you can see the shots are just rocking their head. Like the shots are just being absorbed by their head. Um, yeah, but those fights that come to mind, like they're pretty bad, like that. Yeah. DSC says, "Busy man. It's the right thing to do, especially at the young age." Yeah, man. I was financially, it's hard. Like it is costing me money financially because I'm not making the money that I'd want to be making necessarily. But my daughter went from newborn to 2 years old in the blink of an eye, and the people that watch the podcast would have probably seen her grow. Like doing the podcast, and it went by so quickly that it's a fucking blur. And I'm glad. One of the good things about the lockdowns we had for the better part of the 2 years, it forced me to stay at home. Whereas even though I'd planned on doing this, I don't think I would have, to be honest with you, if I'm going to be fair, because just the kind of person that I am, I love my family, I love what I do, but I'm like, I am an energizer bunny, and I'm always like doing one thing and doing another thing and doing this and doing that. And it probably, the challenge of doing all of that would have probably got the better of me. Um, and so whilst it is yeah, it just went so by so quick, man. It just went by so quick. The last 2 years, my daughter going from 0 to 2, it just went by so quick. Um, Fab, I believe you're watching live, but in the US, the match between Ian and Devin was over 2 minutes ago. Yeah, it was over ages ago for us, even more than 2 minutes. DSC says, "How come the Fab and Rob partnership ended?" Man, it's a professional sport, man. It happens. You know what I mean? Like it's not anything. It's just we got to a point where we wanted different things in both of our lives. You know, that's like I just said with me as well. That was a big thing. I just had my baby, and one of the things I don't want, and I've said this to people already. Like, I don't really want to be traveling and doing stuff at this point in my life. We wanted different things. I had business interests as well, and we want to go different directions in business. So that's kind of like that. That's it. Um, Bryson Bo Wolf says very understandable. Matt Joe says, "Do you ever see a high level fighter change for the worst mentally after a fight? How do you deal with that as a coach?" See, these questions are interesting. I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine. Like, there's the context to a lot of questions and to a lot of answers is very important because when you're saying that, I'm assuming that you think after a fight that he loses, but a lot of the times the changes happen for the worst when people are winning. You know what I mean? But that's just not really addressed because the person's winning, and it's very hard to address it because when a person's winning, especially in like sports like tennis, uh, boxing, fighting, any kind of fighting, where it's not a team per se. It's like the money is held by the fighter, and that's divided up. So really, the fighter decides who their coach is going to be, what direction, da da da. They can decide all of that. And people say, "Well, that's good. That's good. That's what it should be." Blah blah blah. But you've got to understand, a lot of times the fighter doesn't have that skill to do that. Um, so in those situations, a lot of the times the fighters change for the worst on their way up. You know what I mean? And on the way down can be bad as well. Or if they lose, can be bad. But a lot of the times with athletes, at the start when they start getting the momentum, it's good. It's still pure. You know what I mean? You're still in that kind of we're doing this for the love kind of thing, and then the changes happen even in non-team sports with athletes that I worked with. The changes happen after you've reached a certain level of success, and a lot of times it's not positive. Oliver Ekman says, "Fab, I love you, and I am here, right back at you." Bryson Bo Wolf says, "Resting on their laurels." Not necessarily resting on your laurels, dude. Like a lot of the times, like say money and success, like it reveals your character. That's that's a thing. Like that's a big one. Like people can't even like let's say for example, a lot of the times think of it like this: if you hate your bosses or you don't want to do it, you just go there because you have to do it, and then somebody gives you $1 million and you can pay off your house and everything, you'll probably go back to work. Even if you like your bosses, you're going to go back with a different attitude because you don't necessarily have to listen to these people anymore. You know what I mean? So it's not even resting on your laurels. The dynamics, the paradigm, this is not even good or bad, changes. One sec. Yeah, it changes. Like those dynamics change. They change. Um, Hey Melon says not many a fighter is the same after their legendary wars. Conor versus Lawler comes to mind. Man, Rory McDonald versus Lawler. That was almost fucking criminal, dude. What happened to those guys? I don't think either one of those guys was the same again. DFC says, "How did I get into the fight game?" Like I said, my mom put me in Taekwondo when I was a little kid, when I was about 5, and I've always been in and around martial arts. And I started wrestling and coaching and that probably about 18. And I have bad knees. I had real bad knees. My knees fell apart when I was probably about 25, 26. So coached. I just coached full time from about 24, 25. I mean, I worked in that, but I had no more, I'm going to compete properly because my knees were already shot. And so I just started coaching more. I was coach with the national team for wrestling, and coached a lot of wrestling. And then slowly, like, I people would come and like I'd help out with their camps, and I'd help out with wrestling, and I'd help out with some grappling stuff. And slowly, that's more and more how I got into the fight game. It was never like, oh, I want to be in the fight game. Um, yeah, so that's how I got into it. Anthony Smith is the -160 favorite. I remember when he was fighting at middleweight, and I saw him cutting weight at middleweight, and he was huge, man, huge. He was such a big middleweight, dude. Such a big middleweight. His arms were like fucking like that big, man. He looked huge. What was your favorite taekwondo technique? I was partial to a good axe kick. I like the axe kicks. I like the roundhouse kicks, and I like the spinning back kick, spinning wheel kick. I like those kicks. Spinning back kick's a personal favorite of mine. We're off, people. No glove touch. No glove touch. They kicked off. Nice leg kick. Good calf kick on Ryan Spann by Anthony Smith. Spann's a big boy too, eh? He's a very big boy. But Smith at middleweight, it was funny, dude, because I could see he was not in a good place making middleweight. I'd seen him fight a bunch of times, and I'd seen him cutting weight, and I'd seen him like working out in that at middleweight, and he was same as Thiago Santos. He was huge at middleweight. Goes looking for that calf kick again. Does Anthony Smith? Partially checked by Spann. Anthony Smith goes looking for a big overhand right. Oh, nice little check hook. Oh, Spann catches Anthony Smith with a little left hook. Then he rides him from the back, picks him up, carries him over to the fence. Oh, Spann's in all sorts of trouble. Anthony Smith catches him with the left hand. Now Anthony Smith is on top in the half guard. Spann goes looking for his half guard. He's got the underhook. Anthony Smith is a very, very good jiu-jitsu. A lot of people don't realize this. He was like originally like a more jiu-jitsu guy than anything else. So his jiu-jitsu is very, very good. And what he's doing here, although Spann had the underhook and the correct underhook from the half guard position, Anthony Smith covered that. So he stepped over so that he couldn't use the thing. Now he gets him into an armbar. This armbar is pretty deep, but he manages to get back. Oh, shit. Was that a knee landed to the head? I think that knee landed to the head of a grounded Anthony Smith. But Anthony Smith's okay. Anthony Smith has wrist control. It's going to be very hard for Spann to land any sort of real attacks from there. Anthony Smith looked very, very good in that position. 2 minutes and 46 seconds to go. Very, very nicely done by Anthony Smith. That thing, that how he had the underhook, how Spann had the underhook at that time, and Smith just stepped across to the right. That nullifies the underhook when you're in half guard. Very, very nice work. Oh, again with a nice. Oh, both guys exchanging. Spann looks like he's a little bit on roller skates there. Smith looks like he connected a few times. Spann gets hit again. Anthony Smith goes looking for some hammer fists, looks for some elbows from the head arm from the front headlock position almost. Smith with a quarter Nelson flips him onto his back. Smith is going to go looking, I believe, for the mount, but Spann was able to get back to his knees. Smith lands a nice knee to the body and goes looking for the back of Spann. He's got both hooks in. He's going to flatten Spann out. He's got it nice and deep. he's flattened him out. I don't see Spann getting out from this. Spann's a very strong guy. Gets back up, but Smith has sunk the rear naked choke in. It's over. Smith wins it. Wow. CeeLo AFC says, smash that like button. Criminally underrated is fab. Thank you, sir. I don't know if there's any beef in there. Oliver Ekman's Smith with a 25% Nelson. Yes, sir. Yes, there is. They're still continuing. It looks like there is some beef between them. They're continuing. They're talking shit to each other. I don't know what the problem is between them. But Smith beat him pretty badly. He wants to get across. He gets his way over to Smith. Good to see they shake hands. They hugging. They shake hands, and that's it. I think but Spann's still talking to him. And Smith gives him a little hug again. It looked pretty heated, man. Looked pretty heated there. Boom! Hits him with the right hand right on the temple. Slides out of the way, hits him with that little check hook. He caught him a lot of times, man. Like just kind of drawing him into that dead space and throwing those little hooks and right hands over the top. And he just landed them flush, man. And he got big swing by Spann, but Smith stepped straight in with the right hand, and A to B, it's always going to be quicker. That was really, really impressive, man. Bryson Bo Wolf says, I'm quoting this, Smith is class. I fuck with him heavily. I'm assuming that is an American terminology for I support him. I support him. People, I'm going to go, but I'm going to be back on in about 15 minutes on the other stream. So I will see you guys on there very, very soon. I'll catch you in the next 15, 20 minutes. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.